And we're on. Welcome everyone to a episode of No Excuses. Aristel.
Venerian.
And Volatile, we're here to bring you the latest news and games commentary for the week. And we are all here for once. We're all here again.
And early.
That makes like twice in the last 2 months, I think. We've all been present. But yeah, and we're also a bit early because it never stops, essentially. Even though we have Fern here and he doesn't need to run away early, because of that, I need to run away early. Because I have been bullied into attending a work dinner by my workmates, who I guess are technically my subordinates now. But that means that I need to get out of here early because they went out of their way to ensure that I had no excuse not to go this time. They kept moving the date to a day that I didn't have a good excuse not to go, and the time until I didn't have a good excuse not to go, and even the location to make it closer to my house. But the penalty for that, of course, was that they moved it to a restaurant in the CBD, and nobody wants to look for parking in the central business district. So I'm going to have to use the bus service, meaning I have to leave a bit early to get there on time. But I intend to trade on this and use this to pike on a number of future ones if possible. So,
yeah.
But yes, if you'd like to get involved with the show, you can do so by sending us email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com. You can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw, or you can join us in the Discord server, which you can get to by clicking on the link provided underneath the show description on the archive on YouTube.
Indeed. May notice a few things that you haven't seen in a while. Notably, not on Genshin this time. Me and Vern are on Final Fantasy. And
I'll log in due course. I had to dump some Trailblaze energy before the show.
That's fine idea.
So
we're doing the Yokai Watch grind.
Well,
and
is.
I thought about
I was
joining
already
in, but I couldn't stomach the idea. After all, I am playing 3 gacha still. So they are grind heavy games, and my attention is split multiple different ways, and it's going to be split 4 ways as soon as Dawn Trail comes out. So I'm sort of gathering my strength, as it were.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I've been corralled back into the game by others. So I've been poking around at Final Fantasy again, trying to remember how to play this stupid game. And it's been half a year since I've logged on, aside from checking the subs and house.
I never got around to it, but I intended to try out the new benchmark, but I gather that they're planning to revamp it. So I ended up not doing that.
The Fimros were seemed to be pretty big mad with the way their characters looked. The Mikos got off okay. From what I understand, the bunnies got off okay. But the Fimros in particular, just it wasn't good.
No,
it wasn't good.
Are they gonna straight up just give everybody a Fantasia?
Yeah,
I think that they are. Yoshi P's already basically said that one.
Yeah, because I don't know, like, my character, like, because I just sort of like flailed about in the character creator, my character looks a little bit autistic. So I don't know how that might get amplified in the new engine.
Yeah. My character looked basically the same, so
I did not check mine. Thought about it.
Yeah.
Did some stuff like cars and now
oh my goodness, I can't remember how to play this game. Like, where are all my buttons?
Yeah.
What was I doing?
I was going through that adventure before the show.
Yeah.
What the heck my buttons even did.
I'm doing that right now with Blue Mage.
Thankfully, Paladin was still buried somewhere in muscle memory, so I didn't have to think too hard about that. But yeah. Probably, I had more success than the Lokes. think that's on. And the
Yeah,
fringes.
yeah, it is.
If you're blue maging, the Lokes is.
We can go to the Lokes. The Lochs.
There are more
The
fates.
Hawks.
There are more fates than they are spawning. They can spawning.
Yeah, there's a chance that they will. Where are we? Let's start over this side. All right. So yeah, I guess we'll jump into weeks then, shall we?
Yes, let's get this show on the road.
All right. Hey, there's a Vaul. Catch it.
Oh, go.
What are we doing here, guys?
We're just doing fates.
I watch. Got your. Oh, you need to go get the pets from the gold. Or go run and do the quest. Turn on the event.
Oh, how do I do that?
In Ulda.
How do I teleport? I can't remember.
Start right. Down. X.
I don't have a controller because my controller's still drifting.
Yeah.
And I don't want to try and work out my DS4.
Yeah, he might be in the gold saucer, able to give you a pet. You want get the Demona one. That one's out.
That's out. The one we're doing. Well, that's the one I'm doing at the moment.
Absolutely don't know what you're talking about. Is there even anybody offering a quest here?
Yeah, if it's not the gold saucer, it might be in Ulda itself.
It's Ulda. It's kind of right in front of you as you come out of the Aetheryte room.
Ulda.
Oops. Tree. Angry tree.
Fern can do his weekend between all getting lost with the quest.
Yeah. Because of course
Yoshi P's in this one as well?
Yeah, it's a crossover quest.
I see.
Yeah.
I haven't actually done anything on Final Fantasy in a very long time.
Have you done the 16 crossover event?
No.
You got to go fight Leg Day Ifrit. That Ifrit is all leg.
Okay, so when you say Leg Day Ifrit, I'm never sure if that means that he did skip Leg Day or he didn't skip Leg Day.
No, he skipped every other day. So, all right. Well, my week then is just a whole bunch of little stuff. My first is going, and I've already ranted a little bit at Ari about this, and that is that the people who create cases at Antec have their underpants on their head.
Extremely loud quest accepted image.
Yes. Yokai Watch is extremely colourful.
That seared my retinas.
Yes, it do that. So, I had to upgrade a couple of case fans this week because my front case fans had burnt out. They were just done. So I upgraded them. I had 140mm ones before, and I upgraded to 160s, which this case, in all its documentation, says yes, you can put 3 160mm fans on the front panel.
I only go for standard ones usually. Who did you buy?
For the fans?
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you, some no-name brand.
I really, really recommend the what's it called? Noctua?
Yep.
They're really good fans.
Yeah,
I've got like
a
Frankenstein of like several different fan brands that I tried out. The Be Quiet one is good, but it's not fast enough. If you are really going for a low volume one, Be Quiet is good because you're not going to be using a lot of heat generating things for like a media server or whatever. But the Noctua ones are really, really good for a good balance of noise versus performance.
Yeah. I didn't want to go anything too upmarket because I live in a house with animals, and hair is a constant issue. I have to clean my computer out like every other week. It gets a bit nuts sometimes because also I'm in the desert. Dust is ever present.
I should clean my computer way more often than I do. Like I can tell that the grills on the front are stuffed with dust already because it sits not quite on the carpet, but very close to the carpet. So
yeah. So anyway, yeah, I installed these fans onto the case. They all look nice. There's only really one way you can put them on there, and yeah, it was all really good. Got them all running quite nicely. And then I found that the front panel cover does not go back on because there is a one strip of plastic which prevents the whole damn thing. Whoops, I need to kick these things. There we go.
Wait, I'm going to the Black Shroud now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you gotta go.
You got to do a bit of a walk around, yeah.
Gotta meet crossover dude, then you'll go to the. But there's a.
What year did the game that this is the specific game that this is a crossover with actually come out?
2009, I want to say. Hang on, I got to ask because it came out. The time it came out in the West and the time it came out in Japan are completely different.
You mean that game would be in high school now?
Probably.
I'm going to pretend you didn't say that. Let's see. 2019 was the TV series. First game, 2013.
Okay. So
that's a bit better.
They're about to finish primary school.
They're going into middle school.
Oh right, yeah, you guys have middle schools.
That's a thing.
Middle school. It's a rich person thing here.
Yeah, it's a you dumb thing here.
Yeah, we call it intermediate rather than middle school. I don't know why we need to call it intermediate, but we do, and it's basically for rich people and it's basically for parents who want to live vicariously through their children's achievements.
Oh, I hate those people.
That's very it's like prep school for high schools. If you're going to, if you want your child to basically be an exceptional high school student, then you give them intermediate school beforehand and tear them away from all their primary school friends for 2 years so that they can be inducted into the way things are done in high school, because the structure of high school and primary school is very, 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 very different. I don't know if that's the same in the US, but it is here.
It is as well, and that's what the function of body. They just have a gap from high school.
It's like, I think in the entire province that I grew up in, there were only 2 intermediate schools, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, middle. Maybe it is more of an intermediate thing here because in more, I guess, metropolitan areas here. But generally, it's kind of used as a remedial in a lot of cases. So kids who aren't quite ready to make the jump between primary and high school.
Right. No, it's, you basically you stop attending primary early. Like there are no primary schools that don't, that I've heard in my home district anyway. There were no primary schools that didn't go all the way up to high school. Mm-hmm. I don't think. But people would switch to going to an intermediate if they were concerned about being a top student in a high school. And I mean, the people who did go, because I was in the top stream as well. Like I came from a minuscule country school, but I was still streamed into the accelerated learning band in high school. But the intermediates were massively overrepresented in the top stream. Mm-hmm. So it was definitely sort of a prep thing.
All right. So yeah.
Rabbit holes, we're good at them.
Yeah, that was a tangent.
We were talking about case fans.
We were. So yeah, that was basically the whole thing. Is I got the thing all set up nicely, and then there's this one stupid plastic lip that just stops that front panel from going on neatly.
This file.
It just doesn't go on.
Get the file.
No, I considered doing that and figured just, you know what? No. And I moved one of the case fans to the top of the case instead. So it looks a little bit goofy, but
I top mounted in my last build. I top mounted my case fans.
Yeah.
I pretty much had no choice because the front, because back in those days I was still using the front of my case to install stuff in, because I was a very I was very late to accept the departure of optical drives.
Yeah. They do, they did, and even still do to a degree, remain useful.
I was late to accept the departure of floppy drives. I think I still have one somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, what can you even put on a floppy nowadays?
Like
Not even a Word
half a
document
picture?
anymore. They
Word documents are too fat now.
yeah they
Yeah.
include all that weird HTML code on them now, so you can't do
Yeah.
that anymore.
All that metadata and that cram in there.
Maybe a text file for some random notes you've been taking.
Raw text.
If
maybe
it's just Notepad. Maybe if it's just Notepad.
1 bitmap picture.
No, not a
JPEG
bitmap.
are
Bitmaps
out.
are enormous.
Oh, yeah, they are. It must be a JPEG then. But
JPEGs and PNGs are small enough, and TIFFs are
yeah,
sometimes small enough.
TIFF sometimes. Like audio is completely out. Visual, forget it. Or video, I should say.
I remember I used to download music using Napster at my dad's work and put them on a floppy disk.
Yeah.
And the purpose of having WinZip was so that you could take a single file and splinter it across multiple floppy disks.
Yes.
And then hope against hope that you could reassemble it back at home.
It was not a guaranteed thing. It wasn't even guaranteed that all of the floppy disks would survive the transition. Because there was always, whenever you did something like that, there was always one disk that would just inexplicably fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have all the minions, Fern?
I have all the minions, yes. I am at 6 Demona medals. And 1 inventory full of random assorted crap.
I'm not really sure what I'm doing.
Get the watch?
I am currently clicking through heaps and heaps of text boxes.
I need to quickly step away to check something, so if you want to get Vaul up to speed.
I have got an achievement called End of Watch.
Okay. So in your inventory, is there a yokai watch?
Hold on. Yes, there is.
But first, equip that on whatever class you actually want to do this on. I would recommend just making a gear set.
Okay. Right, it's on Blue Mage because you guys were Blue Mage when I spawned into.
Yep. I would make a separate gear set for it so you don't lose it and you remember to equip it.
I already overwrote my existing Blue Mage one because I did it by accident.
Now talk to the aura dude in between the two watch minions. Could give you some sample medals to buy 1 pet with. Roll all the way to the bottom of the list.
Minions.
Yep.
Framers minions. Here we go. Damona is the one you said.
That one.
Why? Okay.
You'll need 5 for your first weapon and 10 for every weapon after that. And as long as you've got the minion out, whenever you complete a fate in the zone with silver or gold credit, you have a chance to get him out.
This creature is adorable.
I like that one. So for your first one, you'll only need 5. Fern still needs 4. So as long as you've got the watch equipped, get a regular medal 100%. You turn those medals in. And the framer.
I don't care about framer kits. I'm not really planning to grind this out. I just don't want to be wasting my time, that's all.
Frog. I've already done it. 5 o'clock.
You finished the entire event.
Oh, there's nobody online at 5 o'clock in the morning, and Missile and Ultra Vibration work on the Reborn boss fates.
Is there a teleport to person's location button in this game? I don't even remember.
Not without being married to him.
Ugh. Right. see where are we at. You're in the loss. The loss.
But yeah, we will detour Ferns Week, I guess.
No, you don't have to.
Okay, there we go. Ferns
Unless
Week.
you want to. Yeah, the hazards of starting the show early is I'm still trying to get things organized. Anywho.
You summon the minion when you're out, by the way. As long as it is summoned when you're off your mount, counts. You don't have to worry about being mounted or still in the fate area as long as you get credit and you're still in the zone with the minion active. Even if the minion's not visible, like when you're on a mount, you're flying, it'll still roll for it.
See if we can actually get a little bit of contribution on this before it dies.
Oh yeah, I didn't touch.
Nah.
Where
I tried.
on the list is it? God damn it.
All the way at the back.
All right. So I'll keep going on then, I suppose. There's a bunch of little things this week. One of the things I did was I played around with Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas because, everyone's doing that at the moment.
Yeah, they do seem to be. I missed the reason why though.
Because the show was actually really good.
Oh, right.
I've heard. I'm still continuing to hear mixed opinions about it. Like, I think that it's really just I think it's a personal preference thing.
I think so, yeah.
A personal preference thing.
There are criticisms I can level at it. Like, it is very bad at actually explaining things in a lot of cases. Some of it is just assuming that you already know, like you're familiar enough with the universe to put things together, and other times it's like, here's a big old plot hole we're just not going to explain. We're looking at you, Chief Raider Lady, who just suddenly transported 200 years with no explanation. And that's a lot, I think, where a lot of the contention between the Turbo Spurgs with New Vegas is coming from. Is it just was not explained properly. Anyway, so as a result of the show being actually good and enjoyable, it's gotten a lot of new people into Fallout. So Fallout 76 is over 1 million people playing it over the last week, and
so it has the tourists.
76.
Yeah, I can't hate on 76 anymore. As much as it probably deserves it. They've done a good job of fixing that up and making it actually fun.
But I don't know if they deserve to be praised for that.
Yeah, because
no, they should have had it like that in the first place.
It's worse than a No Man's Sky debacle, because with No Man's Sky they didn't try to funnel you into a microtransaction shop when they got the product in your hands.
They also had the excuse of being enslaved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sony happened, and as we've seen over the last few weeks, Sony's become the empire.
California Sony specific.
Oh boy, they're bad. But so yeah, it's gotten a lot of people through the door, and as part of it, also Bethesda put out a patch for Fallout 4, which added a bunch more content through their creation shop because they wanted to funnel people into there, I guess. Instead of releasing a new DLC, they just stuck it all in there and used that to get it to people. It's free, so there's that at least. But it did a number of things. It broke all the mods because, of course, it did. But it also changed the game so it now takes advantage of next generation hardware, which has been an interesting experience on the PC front. Because I've had Fallout 4 actually installed on my PC before, I still had a lot of those old configuration files. So when I reinstalled it and just as vanilla and started running it, the game was running at double speed. Because as it turns out, the creation engine still uses FPS to clock game speed.
But why? What is this, 1980?
I know, right? I thought that was something we got rid of in the mid-90s. Back when 30 FPS became achievable. So yeah, that was fun. I ended up having to go through my system and find every single configuration file that the game had spread out, which is like 3 different locations, and scrub every single one of them. The guide's saying to fix it. Say you do need to do a fresh install. You don't need to do that. You just need to scrub the configs, and that was fine. So that's been an enjoyable time. Just picking that up, playing vanilla has been interesting again. So many bits of content that I take kind of gotten used to being there because they're mods that I have installed basically all the time. Just suddenly not being there. Also, the new content, if you rush towards it and pick up one of the new guns that they put in there, but they're interesting guns as grenade launchers and a saw blade launcher and that sort of good time stuff. But if you pick those up too early, then the game just starts spawning random death kill squads on your head. Because someone, I guess, forgot to scale those properly. So yeah, it's the usual Bethesda game thing. Like there is merit to what they've done, but they've also done it in an incredibly dumb and arbitrary way. I also tried to play New Vegas, and that took a bit more doing because that game is 18 years old nearly. It's an old game. And it doesn't like modern hardware very well, especially if you're on an AMD system. So I ended up having to do a bit of config tweaking and a couple of mod installings to get it actually working. And even then, whenever I play the game, it doesn't play nice with modern sound systems. So the audio is just horribly crackly all the time. So as much as I would have liked to dip in and play some New Vegas just to get back up on that game, I really couldn't. The game was running fine, but it just sounded so bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. I would like to install the mods on Fallout 4 again and play through some of those because some of the modded story content that's out there is actually really good. There's also a couple of super mods that have been out there. Like there's the big Fallout London mod that was supposed to launch last week. I say supposed to because Bethesda released a patch and they ended up just having to scrap their release date completely.
There's no way that that's actually necessary. Like the Bethesda are just like there's no reason for them to set things up so every patch that they do to whatever trivial crap breaks every mod. Like the same way World of Warcraft doesn't. Like there's literally no reason for it. They just do it because.
They don't need to break every mod. They only need to break one mod, and that is the script extender, which is traditionally attached to just about every mod that Fallout or even every Bethesda game has in some degree. So you break that, and you break everything. So, and once that gets fixed, then everyone has to adjust their mods to make their mods compatible with the new script extender, and it's just a process. But the thing is because even Fallout 4 is old enough at this point that a lot of the very popular mods out there are no longer being actively worked on. The people who made them have moved on. So some very popular mods might never get updated. Ooh. You want to poke that thing?
We can.
We will have 10 to 11 ladies.
What are we doing?
Give me a sec.
I don't remember how to play the game though.
Tank party, go! Aw.
Where are all my buttons?
Oh, random crap is on cooldown because I was on Blue Mage.
Yeah, I noticed.
Got Blue Mage cut.
Yeah, I think he's just a tank and speak. He's not the specialist one. Edge.
So yeah.
So yeah.
I've never got into Fallout. I played Fallout because my friends. I was
Yep.
never the biggest Fallout guy.
I do like me some Fallout. I like the lore. I like what Bethesda did with the games, and it's
I
kind of a
mean, you like
direction.
what Obsidian did.
I mean, yeah. Then Obsidian made their own franchise and completely missed the entire point. So mixed bag.
Well, yeah, that Obsidian is pretty much dead. But
Yeah. Like they made Outer Worlds, and Outer Worlds, like it had a lot of the elements of New Vegas, and it was okay. The writing was all right, but the world design,
I think I've heard it described as the okayest game ever.
it is incredibly okay, and it basically says everything you need to know about that Outer Worlds. Although there is a sequel already in the works. Apparently, it was out already in the works before they launched the first one. So go figure on that front. But yeah, it is okay. It is fine. But it was actually refreshing coming back to Fallout 4 and playing that after playing Starfield and remembering, oh, this is why I like this formula. When you can actually go into a world and explore and find things.
Starfield was something special with how bad it was.
It's where to start? It's not that it was especially bad. Like it was functional. Well, the writing was terrible, admittedly.
Yeah, but it was like the sort of it's like what you get when a committee or a robot builds a game.
Yeah, it was completely soulless, bland, and uninteresting.
AI
The
could have
fact that
pitched every aspect of that game, and if you told me that happened, I'd probably believe.
yeah. All right, I need to step away again real quick because I'm actually I need to grab my lunch. So one moment. Yes, I'm gonna get you caught up on some medals too.
Oh, I'll take.
Yep. One moment.
While he steps away, I guess I'll interject. We have much to go on with Fallout. I can.
Yeah, I never made it more than a few hours into a Fallout game. The lack of color, I think, is really what got to me. Like they're just kind of bland games in an aesthetic sense. Like, and I understand the purpose of that, but it's really just not my thing.
It just kind of felt. It had some character with the 1950s, but I just not an aesthetic I particularly like.
I mean, it's specifically designed to be nostalgic for Americans, not really for anyone else.
Yeah, and the thing is, even amongst Americans, it's nostalgic and appealing to Americans of that are now in their 60s or 70s. Have been in their like 50s at the time, so.
No, but when I say nostalgic, I don't mean it's not supposed to make you personally nostalgic. It's supposed to evoke nostalgia. Like, in the sense that it's supposed to present to you a different but familiar world that you know is a part of your past.
Never really did it for me. It just, well, it had character. It wasn't. It just came off as another. Like,
Admittedly, I am nostalgic for appliances from the 50s and 60s because they would last like 50 years as opposed to 5.
yeah, my my papa on my daddy's side, yeah, he has a refrigerator in his house. Had that refrigerator. It works.
Yeah, it ain't gonna quit, and all of the parts are mechanical and easily serviced by you, not by a professional.
But yeah, not something I ever got into. Wasn't a big fan of the Fallout aesthetic. Wasn't me Demono.
3.
Yokai Pindium.
What's a yokai pendium?
Collection, where you put codexes for Baja and stuff. There's a new entry, Yokai Metallium, tells you what minions, where you need to go for each minion. By
But I already have the cutest one.
next one you'll want to get is
Fish. Fish.
so we can pivot a bit here. Some of my week was early in the morning. I get up and are getting ready to go to work. I'll usually get up quite a bit earlier than I need to because I am the slowest waker upper on the planet.
Except for me.
So
It takes me more than an hour to make it from bed to feet on floor.
I can get vertical pretty quick, but I may or may not remember anything I'm doing in the early hours of the morning. So I usually like to take that time to just turn on something mindless to listen. Do something easy. And for once, Final Fantasy has had an event that actually managed to hit that note, which was the Yokai Watch event, particularly the A Realm Reborn stuff. Now, you may notice going through here, I'm not really using very many of the really OP Blue Mage abilities, because in Stormblood and Heavensward, most stuff is immune to the really, as you can't quite cheese it as like you would think. In the A Realm Reborn Fates, though, what you get is most of the boss mobs just aren't immune to Ultra Vibration or Missile. Tons of mobs spawn and can be quickly Hydra pulled in to be frozen and insta-killed to clear out an entire fate. You can do. There are mobs that pre-spawn in the world for collection fates, and you insta-get them done by just pre-pulling the whole thing, or just letting the whole thing pop and then pulling everything all at once. And this takes no brain work at all. Those blue mages OP in those fates. So what I would do is I would go to these fates, just no brain them. Now I didn't want to do these at prime time when there were people around for two reasons. One, it would be a fool's errand because of scaling on some of them. Their health would get too big for the non-one-shot blue mage. Ridiculous. And number two, if you ultra vibrate a boss mob before anybody else can get to the boss, nobody else gets credit.
You're gonna make a lot of friends.
By friends, you mean make an entire zone angry at you. Yes. And same thing works for Missile. And this happened to me when I poked my head in a Realm Reborn zone to try and throw some missiles around and like, oh, that should do more than enough damage. It'll do at least like 10% I'll probably need to credit as a deep. And it did. The problem is, you and the other blue mage that precast the swift cast, if you both hit with your first missile, you're still hitting on the same server tick, where it does 50% of the mob's current HP. So only you two get credit. Everybody else in the train doesn't.
Yes. Blue mages in Fate events are just, yeah.
So with the increased drop rates and Fates spawning like crazy and cycling super fast in zones where there were the occasional dudes, it was really easy to grind out this whole over the last 2 weeks. The morning project. Something to do in the...
Yeah. Like, it's a fairly simple event.
But, yeah, it is an obnoxious grind. This is not an event I would do. I would come out just to do an event. This is something you do in the background. This is something you slot into. I need to do something where I can not pay attention. Like, whatever I'm doing with my hands, it needs to be something where I am not paying attention at all. Not an event you want to sit down and go ham power grind. Find some early mornings when you're still waking up. You know, when we're doing the show's a good time because we have so that's about the only kind of scenario where this tolerable type of an event. But
It kind of boggles me actually because I was expecting another tombstone.
not until the pre-patch, or a month before the pre-patch. So we got a few weeks before next tombstone.
Hold on, what do they do with the next tombstone?
They have got.
Is it just catch-up gear or something?
Oh no, not that type of tombstone. Moogle tombstone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this event though has been. You go onto their site and it says this event's going to go from start date until the launch of 7.0.
Yeah, so this one's going to be going a while. You got.
Well, I mean, people have literally been demanding for years that they bring it back.
Yeah, because like me, there's a lot of people out there who have this event half done.
Oh, from previous appearances.
Mm-hmm.
I never touched it last time, so.
And yeah, there are people out there, especially in the West, who are really into the Yokai Watch. So it's not surprising. It's just one of those events that people really want to see again.
Yeah.
Wait, why am I black? Oh, right. That's because now I remember why I'm a Dark Knight again.
As long as you.
I go smack stuff, or I should actually tank stuff.
I wouldn't try and tank stuff.
Oh, it does hurt.
Wait, you're level 70. You're about. Oh, that's right. You're actually leveled your Dark.
I did level.
I thought your Dark Knight was still in its 60.
No. Although I think I'm in. What am I in? The class set gear for level 90, and that's as far as I've got with it. Yeah, it's going to be irrelevant very soon.
Gear is only relevant current expansion.
Current expansion. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I'm glad to see it again. They might still do a tombstone. We don't know. Maybe.
Moogle tombstone? Yeah, they're doing one.
They are doing one. Okay. Yeah, gotta wonder though, because the last one they did was basically everything.
So they appear to be doing a similar format again. I don't know if it'll be stuff, but it is a similar format. I was trying to find it in my UI before. I talked to the Moogle Tome somewhere. A compendium for this. It just appeared. Jason Duty. It just dumped a Moogle compendium. These are my actions and traits. I don't know. I have no idea where the heck this thing would have stuck.
We'll find it.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'll look while y'all do the fate.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I talked to the Moogle just on a whim, just because I'm sitting there, and I forget. It doesn't help. It doesn't help that I do not remember.
I have 5 medals.
Okay, go back to the gold saucer and get the weapon for Demona. I think it's under Disciple of War. I think it's the.
Demona is dancer.
And then get.
It's 10 medals you need, by the way. 10 Demona.
No, not your first one. Not your first one.
Oh, the first one 5. Right. I didn't get that option because I was already halfway done with the event. Because that's the other thing that happened is progress from previous runs of the event has carried over.
I have no clue where this stupid. It's somewhere in here, presumably.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't know where in the heck it would be. They stuck a UI element somewhere in my list of drop downs. I just don't know where that is.
It's hiding.
Oh, Modpendium. It's under. Okay, I found it. It's under collection. So now you can see it.
So okay. Do I have to get a different menu?
You do.
Now?
The next one you want to get. Next one in the Lopes is Lord Enma. ENMA.
This is not anywhere near as adorable.
Oh, you should see his original version. Holy crap, no. It was the final boss of the first game. He was a big chungus.
Chungus?
He was a chungus. Then you
Okay.
slap some sense into him and he becomes, I guess that. Kind of a chuny more than anything else.
So basically, the way they're doing Moogle tomes now is, you know how you usually have to go to the website and look up what you get, or maybe it'll have like a little icon in the duty finder if it's a duty. They just got all that crap listed in this little UI element now in game, and they tell you how much.
So much better.
And they have little weekly challenges, like for week 1 it was go punch normal Sephiroth for 20 Moogle tomes. Now they have mini Mog challenges that you do change every week. First one was do 5 fates in Lakeland and win a game of triple triad against a dude in Western Thanalad. That gets you
just
10,
a dude.
Yeah, some random 10 points each. They had one for there was a big reward for the entire event. You got 50 of the tomes for just scoring 8,000 points in a single expedition. And then your repeatable ones, which are your PvP ones, your Rival Wings ones, your standard raids, trials, and dungeons. But last time they also had gates and ocean fishing. Where different gates gave different amounts of tomes. So like Cliffhanger only gave 1 to 3. Air Force 1 only gave, and Leap of Faith were 1 to 4. Anyway, the Wind Blows was 1 to 8, depending on how well you did. And the Slice is Right was 1 to 10, depending on how well you did. So you could just sit in the Gold Saucer and farm Moogle tomes by doing gates. Time.
It's a nice change from how they used to be, where it was like everyone just puts on their blue masks and goes and beats up on the one boss over and over and over.
Yeah, it also might be keeping the Moogle tomestones inside of this little widget instead of in your inventory, which that would be nice if that's the case. I don't know though.
My inventory's still full of Moogle tomestones.
Mine is full of low-level crafting gear because I've been grinding.
So I don't feel too bad about missing the last Moogle Tombstone a bit anyway, because unless I wanted to collect some stuff to sell later, I already had all the I didn't have.
Yeah, I think there was only 1 or 2 things. Like, I don't give a flying crap about the earrings. But beyond that, it was all stuff that you'd already gotten from a Moogle Tombstone before, or was other stuff we ground out elsewhere in the game.
I'm not enough of a collector.
I would have
like that.
That one I think is the super boss of the zone. I think you're going to be there a while if you try to fight him.
It has a lot of hit points.
It is I'm not doing a whole lot of damage because I'm not blue deeps.
I would abandon ship on that one. Progress.
But then there's a dragoon who's going to partake of the dragoon's famous pastime.
He'll be fine.
I will not give that dragoon the satisfaction of licking the floor.
I'm stuck in combat, so I don't even have any choice. I can't get out of combat.
I can't remember if I've done this super boss.
Not working.
Actually. Can't run. Just keep running.
I'm still running.
Oh. Oh, that's you. I thought you were Fern on the map. I'm like, you're standing there.
No, I'm not running. I'm smacking this thing.
Oh, yeah, I'm out of combat.
Turn grip back on. That's the worst thing about doing all these fates, and I'm actually trying to tank, is you've got to remember to turn your tanking buff back on every single time.
Mm-hmm. Muscle memory. LR left on the D-pad every time I switch. I don't even think about it anymore. Which has become a bit of a problem, actually, because I will sometimes turn tank stance off when I go into a dungeon and I'm not synced. Yeah. It's a bit of a mess. Fern, what are you doing?
Running away now, actually, because I'm about to die on this guy.
Yeah, I'm about to say, why are you still trying to fight that thing?
Oh well. The Dragoon will achieve his dream of licking the floor. There he goes. The Dragoon has fulfilled his role in life. All right. I suppose we'll keep going. The last couple of things for my week then have been animus. I actually got to catch up on a bit of it. First anime I watched was season 2 of Mashal, which was very easy to accidentally binge the whole thing.
You seem to like that one a lot.
It's so dumb. It is so incredibly dumb.
It's Harry Potter except with Muscle Wizard.
Yes. It's like, oh, I can't use magic, and proceeds to bend the laws of physics with just his bare hands.
Magic is muscle.
Look,
his magic is muscle. He casts fist.
It is so transparent where its genealogy is from. Like, this was definitely a Harry Potter fanfic once upon a time.
Yeah.
You know,
so they kind of tried to invert some stuff. So, like, magic is the norm, and no magic is punishable by death.
When it comes to something that transparently different than its one of its clearest source of inspiration, you have to wonder if the author of said fanfic was a guy that was a super Harry Potter fan and just had this really, really dumb idea, or if it was a guy that actually hated it and just wanted to do something to take the piss out of it.
It could go either way, honestly.
Those fanfic
I don't think
authors
that's
fit
the
in
case.
both.
There's hardly any fanfic orders that are actual parodists.
Yeah.
In terms of proportions of material produced.
A lot of them are thirsts.
That's even excluding the thirst ones.
Yes.
We said fan fiction, not porn. Although I know the two can be hard to distinguish sometimes.
There is a very thin line between those two sometimes. So yeah, it's just dumb. The second season basically picks up the day after the first season ended. And it's like, oh, okay, now everyone's starting to find out that he does magic, or can't do magic. Let's call for his execution. And then he just proceeds to bend reality anyway. It is also a tournament arc. So it is very, very easy just to sit down and watch the whole thing.
Not watching the whole of a tournament arc is just frustrating.
It is just wrong. It is a crime. You must watch the tournament arc.
Got to replace the two outfit.
You don't like the Donkadonk?
The problem is, whenever my dress flares up because of a mount I get on, you can right up, and all you get is cat booty.
Yoko Taro approves.
It only happens on some mounts, but when it does, I notice it. I've been using the mount roulette, so I'm not getting my normal mounts.
Yeah. That feels deliberate on Yoko Taro's part.
Helps
so yeah, Mashal is also the series which has the memed intro song, which is catchy as all but hell.
Oh yeah. I've seen people posting that on Twitter, and I've avoided actually listening to it because I don't need it stuck in my head.
It will get stuck in your head, and there's also the Bibu version, which is even worse.
The Bibu version usually is.
It usually is. She is an unapologetic meme lord, that one. Incidentally, YouTube has decided that all it wants to show me is Mokoko screaming this week, so there's that. The other anime, I sat down and watched the first 4 episodes, I think we're up to, of Konosuba 3.
I haven't been in a hurry to watch that one since I have books. I have most of the books. I don't think I've got all of them.
Yeah, Kazuma's still a degenerate, and there's still a lot of screaming. Usually about Kazuma being a degenerate.
I hear that the anime is including the actions of the movie though as canon, which I mean they have to because the movie was just one of the books.
Right.
But basically Kazuma having PTSD from
that lasts one episode. Yeah, Kazuma actually gets sexually harassed rather than, being the one to dish it out.
Well, he was
And if you
asking
don't
for
like
it.
He was asking for it, and he thoroughly deserves it. Like, as far as isekai protagonists go, Kazuma is probably one of the worst.
I think that makes him one of the best.
It does make
Like,
him
I
one
mean,
of the best.
the others are all cardboard. Like, who even cares?
Yeah. There's one stupid throwaway joke about somewhere, I forget where it was, about people with stupid names and dark hair.
If you're gonna do an isekai protagonist point, you have to unhinge them a lot of bit, make them interesting in some way.
Look,
You can take it in different ways. You can make them a super pervo weirdo loser like Kazuma, or you can take them like the just socially maladapted idiot that is Subaru and ReZero. But you've got to screw your protagonist up a little bit.
Subaru has he's got some mental dents at this point. Holy, haven't they run him through a lot?
Yeah, like I've said before, I only watched the pilot, and he was the most boring isekai protagonist of all time.
He was, and to a lot of degree, I think Subaru still is. But yeah, now they've taken the boring isekai protagonist and kind of put him through hell.
Well, the first season's
The first season does have shoes.
But
they tend to play things very straight in the first season.
We'll get lost in the weeds with that one if we jump on it too hard. But
yeah. But anyway, Konosuba, it is being degenerate before being degenerate was kind of the norm for isekai protagonists, I guess. I'm glad that we're kind of out of the phase of like generic chuny isekai protagonist is overpowered. Now it's usually they're overpowered, but they're also a complete idiot. That said, I think we're actually running that particular trope into the dirt now as well.
All the isekai tropes have been run into the dirt because the isekai boom has been going on for so long that there is no twist they can put on.
Yeah. Every now and again you find one, like Campfire Cooking I found was just interesting because it was like just cute and dumb. And also it has the world's most adorable slime in it.
Then sometimes you got ones that started off pretty good and then they develop CGI turtle syndrome.
Yeah. Even in the original book, the turtle was just the turtle.
Well, people don't have big opinions on turtle even.
Nobody likes the turtle.
But the anime was something special.
Yeah, I still haven't watched Sheely season. Hell, even season.
No,
two.
you're talking about like, you're talking about last century, last year's bad CGI. This year's bad CGI has made the turtle look like the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel.
Considering some of the bad CGI that we've had in recent history, which bad CGI have we got this time?
Dragon.
They're these dragons in this. I can't remember what it's even called. Hold on, I need to check the list of anime to find out what the thing is called that I happened to see. List. That's not on that list. Next list. Where is it? It's too hard to read this list. But at any rate, there's these dragons, and they are whatever the opposite of a work of art is.
Oh.
My goodness,
no.
why can't I find it? Anytime I look for a specific anime on a list, I can never ever find it. Basically impossible. It'll be there, but I'll have to read aloud to myself every single title on the list before I can find it.
Let's see. Searching for bad CG dragons at the moment is just giving me the Game of Thrones, which, to be fair, yes.
Oh, the Misfit of Demon Academy 2 Core 2.
Incidentally, they've also got a dragon in Konosuba 3, which I think is just Letty's dad. But anyway.
The dragons, they make the turtle look good.
Yeah.
The tortoise.
What was that really bad CG one that Crunchyroll did a couple of seasons back?
I don't want to think about it. Crunchyroll.
One where nobody existed in the same level of reality.
Crunchyroll is upsetting to me.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, never ever forget what they took.
But yeah, there's been some really bad CG lately. I'm gonna turn this turtle around. Whee! Because Blue Mage is still squish when not solo.
Oh, we can be not squish in a group. We just have to person in my.
Yep.
Wondered why my crits weren't doing as much damage.
All right. The other anime I want to get back into Shangri-La because that was just dumb fun. It's a typical. It's not even an isekai because no one really transports to another world, but same sort of formula, except it's just a guy faffing about in a video game. That's it. Apparently, the English dub turns him into a meme lord as well. So there's that. And I also want to sit down and watch Delicious in Dungeon because I've seen a lot of good things about that one. Where it's about a party of adventurers who has to go in a dungeon that is so freaking big they need to actually farm their own food in there. And by farm it, I mean they eat the monsters they kill.
Speaking of, remind me when we get to my week. Just remind me of sheep. Reason the English has so many puns.
Ah, right.
I'm pretty sure I'm. Go on.
Oh, you pretty sure you got what?
I'm pretty sure I'm up to date on Delicious in Dungeon. I have watched that one. I'm sort of off-put by the fact that it's Netflix. Like,
yeah,
to me, that's like seasoning something with urine for no reason. But it's very, very solid and very watchable. It's got a lot more. I expected it to be way lazier than it is, and it's actually I expected it to just like, oh well, we'll just hit some tropes and call it a day, but they didn't.
Yeah.
They actually wrote a story. They actually wrote characters, and the comedy is decent. It's not the most laugh out loud series I've ever seen, and it's not. It does the slapstick thing occasionally, albeit a little bit inexpertly, but mostly it's pretty good on the comedy side of things. Perhaps it's a matter of taste. There's a lot of very Japanese comedy in there, lots of like moron and straight man type things. I feel like the whole thing works very well, but I couldn't really tell you. I don't think anything about it that I felt was specifically awesome, but there's not really anything about it that I feel is specifically bad. It has both. It's got its darknesses and it's got its bright points, and it doesn't have any Netflixisms in it of any particularly significant degree. But I think it is very watchable. There's certainly nothing to whatever the opposite of recommend is. There's nothing that I would say about it to try and dissuade anybody from watching it. I think it's a solid piece of entertainment. I'm not sure that it's got enough unique character that people will remember it much after this season, but it's very watchable.
Yeah, it just seems like a light, fluffy bit of entertainment. Speaking of Netflix, I think actually I think they did Undead Unluck as well, which I also finished the current run. It gets a kind of a bit brain screwy, and in one character's case, they get a really bad fate, like fate worse than death type of deal. But I'll still recommend Undead Unluck. It's a fun ride. It gets very surreal at some points. But yeah, it's a fun ride. And I enjoy basically all the characters. Also, Yoshi P is... Oh, never mind, he ran away. Okay, Yoshi P was here, and because I snuck off to the gold saucer to hand it in, and I'm gonna get him out.
Oh, you get the 15 of them?
That's
15?
13. That's the Whisperer Go, which is the carnival ride, except now it glows.
Got 2 more to go.
Yep. Which I think is Astro and. I'm forgetting which other. Probably Black Mage? White Mage? Damn, I'm gonna have to look.
Are they both the Heavensward ones?
They might be. Oh no, because I've got the other 2 Heavensward ones. I've got Machinist and I've got Dark Knight. Disciple of Magic. It is. Oh, actually, I think it's Red Mage.
What 2 pets is it that you need?
It would be Lord Ananta and Noko. Which I think Ananta is also in the same area.
I think those are both you need to go do.
Let's have a ask. The compendium. Let's see. Ananta is. Yeah, Heavenswood. And Noko is. Oh, Vanilla.
Well, we can send whichever one.
Yep.
I don't think we're ever going to, since none of these things are dropping.
You have the pet out,
They
right?
can be dodgy like that sometimes.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it running around after me. But I'm just cursed.
Yeah, I've had runs where I've just done maybe 20 fates and gotten a single medal at some points.
Yeah, I've gone on. But then I'll get usually.
Mm-hmm. That's where it usually goes.
Prediction.
Yeah, drop rate seems to be about somewhere in the ballpark in between.
Nope, didn't get one that time either.
These. Ah. Oh. Follow
Yeah.
up fate. Follow up fate.
All right, I'm going to leave my week at that then. So Vaul, what do?
Not much. This week was a rough week at work. Like, really rough. It was stock take week.
Yeah.
And it was particularly messy because the numbers don't seem to quite line up the way we want them to, and they're intent on scapegoating me for it. Everybody seems convinced that I've screwed up somehow, but nobody can tell me how. Just that I definitely screwed up somehow. So I don't believe them. There doesn't seem to be any. I can't think of, and nobody can tell me, an outcome that I can discover a mistake that I made, which would explain things. So, yeah, it's definitely my fault, but nobody can say how it's my fault or how anybody could ever discover or prove that it was my fault. So, yeah, I'm not very happy. I'm quite stressed, which is why I'm not particularly enthusiastic about having to go to a work dinner, even if they are going to pay for it. Maybe I'll have the Wagyu beef just to
really rub it in.
The company that produces the Wagyu beef is one of our customers. No medal from that one either. So I'm sort of interested to see if it's worth the amount of difficulty and paperwork that customer causes me.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. I'm missing 4 of them by the look of it.
I can't teleport. Where did you go?
Black Mage, White Mage, Astro.
Down at the bottom.
And Red
Oh,
Mage.
I had Fern's one was still pending in the corner of my screen. That's why I couldn't take the...
Oh, right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've still got his teleport offer to the gold saucers.
I'm not
yeah,
there
so
anymore.
Work was rough. Ugh. I haven't really done much of anything in Genshin Impact, not since finishing the whole they seem to, after a reset, they seem to have reasserted the proper progress in the hole, and of the underground hole, it looks like my cannonball run through it somehow managed to clear 83% of it. But yeah, we'll see if I go back down there or not. I don't remember a lot of the hole. I was not perfectly sober while doing it, so I'll probably have to re-explore it if I go back down there. I only got bronze, so this is not good. So many people all of a sudden.
This is the shoe with the yokai event is.
So yeah, I didn't make much progress there on Genshin. I have yet to decide what I'm going to do, to be totally honest. I haven't decided if I'm going to plump for my goodness, why is the freaking level sync not working? I always have to click it like 6 times to get it to stick.
I made a macro for it because it was.
But yeah, I haven't decided what I'm going to do. Previously, I have cleared out Culis's before moving on to the next zone, but I don't know if I've got the patience for it this time, because I really didn't like Inazuma. Like, I go back to that zone for like to do weekly ley lines or whatever, and I just have zero affection for any of the locations. It's just a desolate wasteland. Like,
yeah, there's no stamina tied to them. It's okay to skip them.
Yeah, it just feels wrong because I didn't the last 2 times. But yeah, it's just gross. I don't know how that zone is so freaking bad. I feel like the zone itself is bad. I don't know if the zone itself is actually bad, or if I just sort of feel that way because the story was bad and the actual locations were somehow managed to be totally irrelevant to the story. But I've got Inazuma to clear, I've got Inkanomiya to clear, I've got the hole to clear. I just don't think I can be bothered. So
in your position, I would not.
Yeah, I'm not committed to it. It just feels kind of weird to not do it. I know that I can always go back and do it, but well, the other thing is that the process of doing so typically amounts to a lot more prima gems as well. But by that same token, you tend to get more prima gems faster if you just do another cannonball run through the next piece of story. So yeah, there's arguments to commend multiple different points of view on that one. So yeah, Star Rail is in the sort of, we're in the run up to the next patch, the next chapter of Penacony. So I'm just sort of nutting out how to clear some of the pending stuff there. Like, I sort of clowned my way to about 9 stars worth of pure fiction last week, and I didn't clear MOC because I started getting caned by the bosses, but that's because my sustains are bad. Is basically the short version. My sustains are not good enough to keep a team running through MOC 12 or whatever. I don't know if I made it as... I think I made it as far as 11. I think I just squeaked through 11, but I didn't do 12. Is this the zone one? Is that the long one? I don't know.
That's the long one, yeah.
That's the one.
But yeah, so there's this new pure fiction, except that the boss in pure fiction is Sam, and I have trauma from fighting Sam during the story because it went so badly for me. Even with double sustain, he was one-shotting my characters, so I'm kind of traumatized, and I don't really want to fight Sam again. But you can't have everything. So yeah, the next patch is coming out very shortly. I'm not quite sure exactly how far away it is, but it's probably pretty close at this point. The the community is currently undergoing a great deal of tumult because of the woke hysterics have basically decided that it's their game and that they are going to gatekeep who can and can't play it, and whether or not you're allowed to play it depends on what you agree with about their assertions of the sexuality of the various characters. And this is literally all they talk about, like all day, every day. It's just like, oh, this character is gay, this character is trans, this character is a lesbian, etc., etc. Like this is their life-consuming passion is to talk about the sexuality of Star Rail characters.
Do you people seriously have nothing better to do?
I really don't think they do have anything better to do. I think that they would probably implode if they couldn't feel important by doing this. I'm not quite sure why it makes them feel important, but it appears to do so. But yeah, so that sort of those contortions have gotten to the point where the official Star Rail Reddit has banned talking about sexualities.
Oh, thank goodness.
Entirely. Whether that'll stick or not, given how Reddit works, I don't know. But yeah, so it's kind of a mess in there right now. It all seems to be based around the new character coming out, Robin. I'm not really sure why. I think that it's basically the same as the March 7th thing. Like, for those that don't know, this particular band of lunatics has said that it is canonical that March 7th is trans because her color palette is pink and blue and white, which means obviously she's trans. I did not really follow how this worked until it became clear that apparently the alleged trans community that I don't believe actually exists has a flag that has these colors on it, and this self-proclaimed flag means that anything in those colors belongs to their particular cadre, apparently, allegedly. And apparently the history of this flag is tied into pro-pedophilia activism.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why they're so proud of it, given that it was a flag designed to advertise pedophilia at its root. But they are, and I guess that this is just going to be the next civil rights frontier. We'll be removing age of consent. But
protect Nahida at all costs.
Nobody will find her amongst the badminton equipment. She's perfectly camouflaged.
Speaking of, today's war crime is related to badminton.
Oh no.
I will
badminton?
Badminton.
That one was earlier. No, this one is
we've got a new, more creative, next level sheep pun.
It is
even on high solo tier list.
That's what I was Googling last.
That's that is not a sheep pun.
Let's try this again. Copy the link. Here you go.
I can't read it. Where are we at? Several sheep of Anila's decided to start a badminton team. What was their team name? The Shuttle Flock.
Yep. War
well,
crimes.
I mean, this is Aristeel's 15 minutes of e-celebrity, so he's got to make the most of it.
Hey, at this point, I'm not sure how many people are genuinely being driven nuts by it, but it started off just to drive people nuts. But at this point, it seems to have got a fan base.
Yeah, they need to get their daily fix.
I feel like I'm feeding a bad habit now instead of just annoying people.
I mean, yeah.
No medal, no medal, no medal, medal, medal.
How many medals you got up to?
7.
Okay.
You are getting some medals.
Yes, occasionally. I usually get like 3 in a row, and then I'll get none for like 5 fates.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
How it seems to work.
Yeah. So the Star Rail community is in hysterics because that was their logic with March 7th. The new character Robin, her color palette is purple and white and gold. And apparently, her color palette coincides in some way with some lesbian flag. So they've decided that that means that she's a lesbian, which has caused a great deal of tumult because there's some sort of like there's a trailer that was released which has sort of like Kylus, the male trailblazer, and Robin sort of giving platonic but meaningful glances at each other, and because nobody on the internet apparently thinks that platonic friendship exists, this has been interpreted as a shipping thing by these creatures. And so this has upset them because they feel like they've got canonical sanction for Robin being a lesbian, not bisexual, not transsexual, but a lesbian specifically because flags apparently. And then they release this thing, this sort of like clandestine liaison between male trailblazer and Robin. Then like, oh no, mixed messages, I can't compute. And so they've just dissolved into basically a furor or a spastic behavior. Which is a sort of in one way amusing to watch, but in the other just sort of nauseating and confusing. So yeah. And it's because my algorithm knows that I've been consuming Star Rail media recently, it means that it just gets shat all over my timeline.
Yep. The algorithm do be like that.
So I'm forced to bear witness to these like insane LGBT, WTF, BBQ shipping wars, whether I like it or not.
You've been algorithm.
You've been forcibly pulled into the spectator stands for the War of the Alphabet people.
Yes. Anyway, so yeah, that sucks. Haven't decided if I'm going to pull on Robin yet. Like, I strictly don't need her, but she's really cute. Like, generally speaking, you can't go amiss with 5-star harmony units. Eventually, there's going to be some team that turns them into a juggernaut. That's always the way. But I don't really need her per se because Acheron uses Nihility instead of harmony units as her supports, and I've got Ruan Mei, who's like the Swiss Army knife of generic harmony supports. Like she's not going to ever specifically fit any particular team, but she works in virtually every team under the sun except Acheron. The only reason she doesn't work with Acheron is because she's not Nihility, and she does work with Acheron if you've got E2 Acheron, which I don't. And I hope I never do, because that would mean I spent altogether too much money on an Acheron rerun banner. Yeah, so I haven't decided if I'm going to roll on Robin or not. I will probably pull for her at least a little bit. The main reason being that Tanya, who I want but I don't have yet, who is a 4-star, is also on the banner. And she's got, in the Japanese, she has an incredible ASMR voice, and she's also quite useful for people who don't have Sparkle, since she's like the poor man's Sparkle. And also Xueyi is on that banner, who I really want some Eidolons for, because I really like her, and she's quite good when she hits the next Eidolon, because she has the same attribute that Acheron does. She's sort of a poor man's Acheron in a way, in that her ultimate doesn't care about elemental typing. It will reduce toughness anyway. So, another no metal fate. So I'm kind of keen to get a few more Eidolons for Xueyi. So I'll probably pull on Robin a bit, and if I get her, that's great. If I don't get her, well, that builds pity. So I'll probably pull until I get cold feet, type of thing. But yeah, so this week I haven't really done much gaming wise. Blue Archive has the Railgun event come out. Now, this being an external IP crossover, the story is incredibly underwhelming. And that's sort of almost unavoidable when you cross over with an external IP, because you really don't have permission to do anything interesting with it. The only thing you really got is character likenesses. So, the story is incredibly underwhelming. But I'm historically a fan of that franchise. I've got heaps of the books. Like I've got like a dozen of the books, which isn't really heaps of the books in context, since there are gajillions of books in that
There is
series.
so many railgun books.
I don't actually have any of the railgun ones. I've just got the index ones. But
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a fan of the series and the settings, multiple of them. I'm not as big of a fan of the Accelerator ones, since I think that I don't really like Accelerator's particular anti-hero archetype. Like I feel like he does get a certain amount of karmic backlash, but I feel like people keep just sort of glossing over the fact, like lots of plot bunnies have conspired to induce you to brush under the rug the fact that he's like a mass murderer of thousands.
Oh, just forget about that. It's not relevant.
Like the thing is that they work around this by having the Misaka project, like they share a hive mind, but they also try and simultaneously sell it to you as they all have their own individuality as well. And their individuality sort of like it develops as the story goes on, and the sort of the catalyst for them for that plot arc coming to its conclusion, and Accelerator getting the absolute tar beaten out of him and defeated in the end, the catalyst for that is the fact that one of the clones basically decides that she's going to have something about her that's hers. And from that point on, that story sort of snowballs towards its conclusion. But that means that you don't really know at any point whether or not it is a valid assertion that, well, he may have been a mass murderer, but nobody really died, since at that stage in the story, none of the Misaka clones had their own individuality. And that they were all just multiple bodies for the same mind. Like, that's what they want you to think to excuse him from his genocide. But the fact that they go the route of, well, developing an individuated personality is sort of like the catalyst towards what he's been doing being perceived as like definitively wrong and needing to be stopped. Like, you end up in this unpleasant gray area where you're not really sure what you should be doing as far as what his position in the story and his moral culpability for what he'd done. I mean, he's a bad person. It's as simple as that. But yeah, he's not the most sympathetic bad person. He did pay a hefty price in that after the events of the Testament, the Last Order arc, basically he's a permanent cripple who can't use his powers without using the Misaka network as a supercomputer. So his entire ability to use his powers, which is the only thing that keeps him alive, is entirely with the consent of the Misaka network, who are the ones he committed a genocide against.
Oh, that's grim.
So basically, that's how they karmically balance it. But because he's in such like a weird, awkward, fantastical moral position, it's very hard for me to sympathize with him. But yeah, I like all the other branches of the franchise though. So it's fun to see the characters in a crossover, especially since they're not really in vogue anymore. They're also quite bad, but that's usually the way. Usually the way Blue Archive crossovers are, in the sense they usually make them resoundingly mediocre. The reason being, for them, in most cases, if you do an external IP crossover, you can't do a rerun. So anybody who doesn't get it will never get it. So they don't want to make characters that are potentially powerful enough that they could impede the meta. So they tend to come out like slightly worse versions of existing characters, is the usual way. But I decided to pull anyway, and I ended up having to pull to pity because I'm unlucky. So I pulled all the way to pity to get Misaka. I didn't decide to keep pulling for Misaki since I don't really have any affection for her as a character. She's kind of a horrid bitch. Well, she's basically she's like one of the elites, right? She's one of the I think she's one of the level 5s, of which there are only 7. That is to say, the Espers with the most powerful abilities have reached the highest tier of power, and her tier is mind control. Essentially, she's got a limited but very powerful form of mind control, and as such, she has the character of the sort of person who not only was she born to a wealthy family, but she can use mind control to get anything she wants.
Oh yeah, that's inevitably going to make somebody just a generally horrible person.
Yeah. So she's not like an outright butcher, but it's like she just doesn't have a properly formed moral compass because everything has always been at her fingertips and everybody does what she says just because she wants them to. So, yeah, she's not the nicest person. So I don't have any great affection for her. There's also
spontaneously combust.
She literally controls people with a television remote.
Yep. Okay.
It's like the most important part in the setting. The most important part of Esper powers is that they work like Magecraft in the Nasuverse. That is to say, self-suggestion is important. So she uses a television remote to control her powers.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a natural, to her a natural analogy.
Yep.
So that's how she taps into her ability. So she literally controls people with a TV remote, and that sort of casual domineering scumbaggery is sort of like characteristic of her character. Anyway, there's also a welfare, which is Saten Ruiko, who is a lot of people's favorite character. She's the normal girl character in Railgun. Like, she has no powers of note. She's like the theory goes in the setting that everybody has Esper powers. It's just that some people have them at level 0. And if something happens to artificially elevate that, then they can use powers to a limited extent. Like when in the story, when Saten uses a highly illegal, highly dangerous method of increasing her powers because she desperately wants to be like everybody else and have powers, she manages to create a gentle breeze. And that's how weak her powers are. But being the normie basically makes her the linchpin of several things because she's basically beneath the notice of most people because they only care about people who are powerful. And so she gets away with a lot of bullcrap that other people couldn't. But yeah, they're all pretty bad characters from a gaming and meta point of view, but I decided to get Misaka anyway, just as a token because I like the series. The story is horrible. Like, it's really, really badly written, but it's only badly written because it smells exactly like the sort of bad writing that you would get if somebody told you, okay, you can write a story about these characters, but here is the extremely long list of things you're not allowed to write about.
Yeah.
So it's a story where essentially nothing happens whatsoever. And so the characters' sort of like personalities are sort of showcased in a vacuum where nothing is happening. But yeah, it's disappointing in that sense, but it's the sort of disappointing. It's like, well, I know why it's like this, and I was a fool to expect otherwise, because it's an IP owned by somebody else.
That's one of the things I think that really annoys me about a lot of these crossover events is character personalities. It's like a lot of the best stories that you do a crossover with, the characters actually grow and change as the story goes, and it's like, well, which version of the character do you go with?
Well, the thing is that they set up from the very early on that, oh, well, once they figure out how to, it's a temporal thing where once they figure out how to get them back to their home world, it will insert them back into their home world in the exact state they were when they left, so they won't remember anything that happens or retain any possessions or experiences.
So this whole thing was completely meaningless.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yep. The usual crossover cop out.
Yeah. So yeah, it's basically, it's crossover 101 and there's really nothing to be done about it.
Yeah. But yeah, there's only so much you really can do unless the other franchise is willing to sign over some ability to do more.
Which they won't, and they've really got no reason to. Okay, I'm on 9.
we've seen it in the past. Other franchises have done crossovers where generally the writing teams get together and they'll make something unique, and that usually works out well. But
like the near crossover in FF.
exactly, that's a very good example.
Well, you can do whatever you want with Yoko Tara's universe and say it's meaningful as much as you want. Yoko Taro never gets back to most of the crap he reveals for his series and his setting anyway. Who knows?
Well, I mean, nobody understands anything that he does in his stories, but at least they absolutely went balls deep on ensuring that it had all of the aesthetics perfect. Which, I mean, I'm willing to accept that if it's the only thing on offer.
Yep. Like you definitely got the vibe. And the butts, because Yoko Taro. But yeah, generally
he does like butts.
He does like them. He is a butt man. But generally, you don't get that sort of deep dive crossover with gacha games.
Yeah, there's not really time in it. Everything is very rigorously scheduled, and yeah. So, I mean, it's one of those things. It is what it is, and I'm really just waiting for the next major story chapter is what this is all about. So, yeah. It'll come when it's ready. It's scheduled for this sort of major cycle. So it's going to be the main event for this major patch of Blue Archive is going to be the next chapter of the story, which I believe is the first chapter of Hyakuyako's story. And following that, I think, is the third chapter of Abydos. I think.
Don't know. I haven't.
I don't think that it's going to have Faust in it, though.
You know, it did have Faust in it, though.
Yes, the latest episode of the animated version was Faust's debut.
But when you said this week that we're up to the bank robbery, I made it a point this week to schedule 2 hours in an evening, and just got caught up on this series so I could watch the bank. It was exactly what I expected.
I think Aru steals the show. I think Aru really steals the show.
She definitely has the best reaction faces, but
yeah, like she's what the modern slang calls a girl failure. That is to say, it's the opposite of girl boss.
What the girl bosses themselves to be, I guess.
Well, the thing is that Aru very, very much wants to be a hard-boiled outlaw. That's like her vision of herself in her head. And she knows she doesn't live up to it. So she tries very, very hard to live up to it. But she doesn't have a villainous bone in her body.
Just really not very good at it.
Yeah, like every time she's furiously attempting to be like Machiavellian and villainous, she ends up accidentally on impulse doing something incredibly heroic.
she
usually because she knows she's gotten in too deep and there's no other way than forward, and she ends up looking like she's heroically leading her comrades to victory.
The good guy genes just run too deep in that one.
She's just a genuinely nice girl who wants really, really bad to run a criminal organization and is really, really crap at it.
I have 10 medals, so I will go back to...
Alright. We can finish the locks for a while.
And then the Stormbloods. Onward.
Yep.
What pets are the hard ones?
So, does this trade in for a weapon as well, does it?
Yep.
Yep.
Is that how this event works? Because I don't know how this event works at all.
Yeah, and as you get X number of weapons, you'll get mounts. Those and you.
Nice.
That's it. That's literally the whole event.
Which reminds me, actually, I need to claim my
the Gunblade. So
Gunblade is Stormblood.
Yeah, he just did that.
This is the most hideous looking Gunblade I have seen in my life.
Yeah, they're all like that.
Like some of the weapons
like a Fisher Price toy.
They all look like that.
They all look like that.
So grab
some of them are good, others not so much.
Grab Lord Ananta and Zazzle at the bottom of the list.
I can grab both.
You got the medals for it. In fact, you can.
You'll get one mount for getting all the pets. So
There's nothing else.
There's
to
no
spend your
price
medals on.
associated with any of these, so it's
Yeah.
not written in the dialogue box. So
First one, you get basically medals he gives you.
something like that. Yeah. There's also the framers kit, which is I think it's a 10 medals. It's nothing. No way.
both of these are both of these for use in whichever zone we're going to next.
Yeah, these are the heavens.
Mm-hmm.
Easier to do from Blood and Heavens group because since they added A scaled, B not able to be missiled or ultra vibrated, and C there are just way too many dudes in those. So
What zone are we headed for?
Bonnie and Hinterlands in with Idleshire. Best one, not Swan.
If
Right. Yeah, so I think Adu really stole the show there. I think she's an incredibly delightful character to watch at work because she is the reaction face character. Although it's hard to tell sometimes how many of those are just internal and how many of them are actually being displayed. But if they were not mostly externalized, Mutsuki wouldn't find her so entertaining.
At least some of them have to be externalized because they'd be giggling at her quite a bit. Like we.
all right, yeah. We should be all right here.
The other thing I did this week was that I watched the Honkai Star Rail live concert. It was just streamed on YouTube. And I really, really enjoyed it. Now, it is extremely cringe in places, but I feel like that's just sort of unavoidable because nobody involved is a stage performer. It's a video game.
Mm-hmm.
None of these people need to be on stage. It's not their thing. It's not what they do. So it is wholly unsurprising that at times it is incredibly cringe.
Yeah.
However,
this goes with a lot of these sorts of things.
This is an incredibly elaborate stage production. Like the stagecraft on show is just really, really good. There's a lot of work and passion went into this. It's very obvious how much they worked on this. It's only just sort of like just barely this side of actually being a full Star Rail musical. It's really, really good. Like it leads off like the opening. It was an interesting choice of opening, but it was a really strong opening, which was Kafka's theme was the first piece, I think. And then they sort of led more naturally into they did a few pieces from the space station and then led into Girolo 6 with a variety of pieces from there leading into live performance of Wildfire, which is one of those performances that just doesn't quite work as well live because the guy who does it is clearly not a live performer.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I'm getting red memories here.
Oh yeah,
I got red memories, and I got a luminous water crystal, and I got a yokai medal, and I got a legendary medal.
Yep.
But yeah, so Wildfire works way better in context than it does on a stage, but it was still played out pretty well. Like they crafted it together very well. Like they did a musical piece for the Engine of Creation first, which links really well to leading into Wildfire, which was the climax of the Girolo 6 segment of the show. And then there's a brief interlude, and then they move on to Shansho, and that was a really impressive part of the show. There's they bring in a lot of they do a lot of different pieces, and they bring in a lot of like performers of various kinds who do various types of juggling and acrobatics at various points. Just sort of like a lot of it is basically to showcase the Shansho culture. because of there are large chunks of story that take place in this particular section on the Shansho Lofu, which is like where all of the street performers gather, and like the sort of the major minor character Gunaifin is a street performer herself, and so that's quite sort of important to the setting. But yeah, so there's a lot of performances, and they lead that into doing, because they do a lot of the five-star characters get a segment of their own, like a brief segment of their own. Like in the Jirolo 6 section of the show, Seele gets hers. And before the show, and not really before the show so much as at the start of the Space Station Herta section. I didn't make it to this one. I don't think I'm going to make it to this one. Oh no, it's a slow one. People in the zone. The Space Station Herta section starts with Kafka, and so in the Shansho one, they lead into use the street performer thing to lead into Huohuo. It's just done interestingly, although Tail ends up spending most of the time. This is not going to mean anything to you guys, but Huohuo, her tail is possessed.
Oh no.
It has a mind of its own. Quite literally.
That's a intentional thing and not just the graphics engine of the game being weird?
No. Her tail is possessed by a Heliobus spirit.
Okay.
A Heliobus is basically an energy-based life form, but the energy-based life forms on the Shansho are basically sort of like classed as spirits, and so the various talismans and exorcisms and that are basically ways of interacting with them. And Tail, as Huohuo calls him, I don't remember what his actual name is, but Huohuo calls him Tail because he's her tail. Is a particularly dangerous one, but has basically become bound to Huohuo as a symbiont. Although they don't really get along a lot of the time. But yeah, so he's basically the one who gets most of Huohuo's section. But yeah, the Shansho one climaxes with they do the Imbibita Lunai part rather early on, I felt, but then they do like the full 3-part medley of Fantilia's theme, which leads into Jingyuan. So yeah, it's a really great performance. And then from that one, they move on to Penacony, and Penacony is done in a particularly elaborate way, which sort of it leads up to Robin's songs and so on. And like the whole thing was it was a great show. They even insert a few sort of like originally community made originals that don't appear in the game, but they've sort of moved into the community consciousness. Like what's it called? I'll check what it's called. That song. It must be in my history somewhere probably, because I checked it out after the fact. Funny Bone. There's a song called Funny Bone that's actually made. It's actually a community song. It was made for Star Rail, but it was made by by sort of like community members who were asked to make something for Star Rail by Hoyo. And so they made this song called Funny Bone, which has been sort of accepted at this point as being essentially Sampo's theme. And it's got its own sort of music video on that, which is sort of like, it basically synthesizes a sort of history for Sampo and how he became who he is now, one of the masked fools. But yeah, so
they're willing to put something like that in there.
Yeah, they did another part as well, which is just sort of like a it comes off as just being like sort of, oh well, this is a generic sort of like star-crossed lovers song, but the song is actually about 2 specific NPCs, of which you only ever meet one in a side quest of very little import on the Herta space station.
Huh.
But it's have you ever seen an anime called Voices of a Distant Star?
Never actually watched the thing.
It was just a one shot, quite a short one shot, but it's basically a similar story to this particular side quest. And the side quest is basically like there's a scientist, like he's a geologist or something on the Lofu, who is I haven't turned in any. Where's the turn in guy? Can't find him. Okay. It's basically the story is about a scientist who stayed on the space station and one who went exploring, and he was in love with her, and it's sort of revealed through the story that she probably had feelings for him as well, and he wanted to confess to her, and they were communicating, via radio, but as it turned out, there was a space quake type thing out where the woman was doing her studies and on some like remote planet, and it basically means that the temporal lag between them gets larger and larger as time goes on. Mm-hmm. So time passes really, really fast compared to her for the guy on the space station. So even when by the time she manages to make it out of the rift, he's probably going to be like 90 years old, and only like a short amount of time will have passed for her. And there's just like they add this entire song to the concert, which is just about that particular side quest. It took me quite a while to remember what it was actually about. Like, what is the song even about? This is not one of the main plot lines. And then I remember there's actually this really, really minor side story about these two. And it's one where you actually choose the outcome of that plot line. Like you can tell the guy the truth. That you're given the option to either tell the guy the truth that there's been this rift in space, and so you guys are never going to be living on the same time scale ever again. Or you can give him a fake recording of her rejecting his feelings, so that he can move on after a clean break and not think about it anymore. So yeah, I opted to tell him the truth, and he basically is like, "Oh yeah, that's okay. I'll just go out and find her." And so he basically embarks on this nice suicidal trip to go and try and find the girl he's in love with. But that's the last you hear of it. I don't know if they'll ever do a follow-up quest, but that's the last you hear of it, and it's right at the start of the game.
There's really no right answer for that one, is there?
Well, I don't hold with telling people lies, so that's why I went with the truth. But yeah. So yeah, the overall the concert was really, really enjoyable. It's riddled with spoilers in its own way, so there's not really. I wouldn't encourage anybody who wasn't already sort of playing the game to watch it, but it's definitely a very enjoyable production. I don't feel like I wasted my time watching it. Like it was a very enjoyable concert. Like it's the stagecraft is great. The theming of each section is great. The way the whole thing is put together and composed is great. The only thing really holding it back is the sort of amateurishness of the people actually performing in a lot of cases, because, well, they're not stage performers. So, they're performing something that they would have done in a studio in front of a massive live audience, possibly for the first time. So,
okay. So what they do, they just had the voice actors in costume.
In the cases where most of the songs are not sung by the voice actors, they're sung by people who are singers. Yeah. But a lot of these people are sort of like, oh well, they're a singer on the internet type of thing, or they do insert songs for anime or whatever type of thing.
Yep. Where they perform in a studio, they don't perform in front of an audience.
They might be like a part of a band or something that performs in a bar, but this was performed in a stadium, so
there's a bit of a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's also like, if you're interested at all in sort of like different sounds and that sort of thing, there's a lot there as well, because they use a absolutely ridiculous number of different instruments throughout the show. Because like for instance, the most obvious case is the shansho. Everything is traditional Chinese instruments.
Yep.
Pretty much. and then there's also sections where everything is just sort of electronic and synthesizer, and there's like more traditional orchestral sections for Drilo 6, and then you've got the sort of like very sort of like very art deco aesthetic for the Penacony stuff and so on. Like it's a very, very diverse show. It's definitely worth a watch, provided that you aren't going to spoil yourself on something. But
Cool.
yeah, it was definitely very enjoyable. As a tangentially related note, for anybody who has dabbled in Star Rail but has not logged in a long time, make sure you log in and get your free 5-star Doctor Ratio, because that deal is going to expire in a couple of days. Like it's not an all-time thing. Like Fern, you were playing a bit, weren't you?
Yeah, I haven't gotten very far in it though.
Did you get Doctor Ratio?
I did not get Dr. Ratio.
Get Doctor Ratio. He's a powerful 5-star DPS of imaginary element, which is important because nearly every boss in the story is weak versus imaginary.
Ah.
So he's a massive power boost to any free-to-play player's team. So yeah, I recommend that you get in. I don't know how much you have to clear to get Doctor Ratio. It can't be very much, Ari.
You gotta get through the tutorial and beat the tutorial boss, the big while you're on the space. Then I think you get him before you get to Drilla.
Right.
All right. So
Yeah.
probably
So
around the point where you're starting to faff around with the simulator with Herta.
I would
It's not too long after that, or you might already be there. Check your mailbox.
I would make a point of getting it because he's not like some like second-rate 5-star, and that's why they're giving him away for free. Like he's got his own banners and things that they want people to spend money on. This was basically, as far as I can tell, them giving away Doctor Ratio was purely just a flex on the Genshin team. I don't know where the turn-in guy is.
Back over here.
He's behind a rock at the opposite end. But yeah, so definitely make sure you get Doctor Ratio, because like they don't do that kind of thing very often. Hoyo doesn't just give away 5-stars normally. That's why everybody was so beside themselves when Doctor Ratio got gave away, and a lot of people thought, oh, he must be trash, but he's not.
Nope.
He's actually really, really good, and he's probably going to be meta as of the release of Robin, because Robin plays into his strengths extremely well.
Nice.
But yeah, I'll leave my week there so that we can move on.
Alrighty. How much time you got before you gotta run away?
Probably an hour and a half.
Okay.
So, alright. There ain't a whole lot to my week. Like I mentioned this week was full of a whole lot of work shenanigans. Basically, all I would have the energy to do is something that required zero brain work. So in the mornings, that was the Yokai Watch event, which I last week, and when it was evenings, it was watch Blue Archive on one monitor while AFK farm. Means you sit at the base and let somebody else do all the work and just show up to the dang what you call it.
Yeah. I just call them fates.
Yeah, show up to the NMs. I'm not sure if that's considered BM. It doesn't seem like anybody cares. It doesn't feel right to me to make somebody else do all the work for me. But I wanted to make progress on something, and I did not anything this week that required actual work.
It's fine.
It's been a rough past few months at work.
How was I locked in combat with that fate and still got no credit?
That one's
something.
Yeah, that one's weird. When in doubt, spam quadruple.
I think I've got it.
Hydropole doesn't seem to be doing the trick.
Oh, these
They ran away.
They keep trying to run away. But no, it does fine damage as well. So even if they do what they just did there, you'll to get credit.
Oh my goodness, I'm desynced again? Really? I keep syncing. It's not working.
Find my macro. Control C.
Oh, yeah, there's some shenanigans actually going on here.
So I use that macro to level sync that I dumped in live show chat instead of trying to level sync manually. With the little built-in palette. Why? Because yeah, because it seems to never. It's finicky with controller, so I just make.
We got the boss to spawn in there.
Yeah, this one's a biggin, but he's an easier biggin, and we have tanks. Find out.
We can find out.
Can't go that way. Long way. So yeah, what did I do? Nothing really. You need to play
requests for tracking.
Yeah, I responded to idiots sending me messages about work. And a bunch of them had to do with shipments. Okay, listen. If you have a rep with the guy that's selling the product to you, you know he's going to respond to you because he's responded to you before. Do not spam his inbox. Tracking, please, after he's already explained to you several times, waiting on the factory. Get back to you as soon as he can.
There is no tracking.
Will in fact make him want to kill you.
Yes.
Now I will level. Yeah, I played some more Rising, not as much as I had been. Kind of in a lull period right now. There's actually a little bit of a queue time if you go into rank play, and casual play is.
Yeah.
So I didn't particularly feel like stomping on nubs or stomped up. So. But I did play some lobby matches with some people and had some new people. Then
you bombard them with sheep puns.
A couple of them recognized me, the sheep punk guy, but while I was playing and waiting for one guy to come back after it was AFK, I decided to go look up what in the world would possess the localization team to go so ham with the sheep pun. She says puns in Japanese too, but they don't make any sense in English, so they had to change them all to sheep pun.
Yep.
The reason they did this, and this is because of her voice actress being the Trails localization girl, apparently. She knew that. How do I describe this? All of the divine generals, the 12 divine generals from the Chinese zodiac, are represented with unique characters in Grand Blue. Anila is the guardian of the South-Southwest of the sheep. Also my year. We're on the first day of the sheep year. But Anila, in addition to being based on animals of the Chinese zodiac, there is a more subtle reference, that all of the 12 generals are also influenced very heavily by a particular character from SNK fighting games.
Okay.
And Anila is based on her secondary reference is Terry Bogard.
Really?
Really.
Right.
And if you know Terry Bogard and have played any of those games in English, you know that Terry Bogard had some interesting and very punny translations for his stuff that just were over the top bad puns. And this is why Anila, in her English version for this game, all the Japanese puns were translated to bad sheep puns. This is apparently a reference to Terry Bogard. Continuing,
right.
And
continuing the crimes against humanity.
Yeah. Apparently, the lady tried to get them to let her do something similar to what she does in Japanese, because for those who don't know, Terry Bogard's move in super move is Buster Wolf.
Yep.
And after he uses it, or sometimes when he wins a match, he'll go to the opponent and go, "Are you okay?" And it's it's in English and really really funny. So she tried to get them to carry over the "Are you okay?" after her Fury of the Ram super that she has in the Japanese, but she says it in Japanese in the Japanese. But they just didn't get the joke, so they wouldn't let her do it. She had trouble explaining the joke of the history of it to him. So
yeah, the original really only worked because it was just that super heavily accented English.
Yeah. So yeah. That's also why the community, whenever Anila lands her super, shouts "Buster Wool." And I was actually quite happy to find out that her reference was Terry instead of some wackadoodle SNK character, or God forbid one of the Street Fighter characters, because Terry is, as far as main fighting game protagonists go, Terry's not a martial artist. He's not involved in some kind of world-ending plot, and he isn't some kind of master.
He's just some guy.
He's just
he's just a guy.
He's just a genuinely nice guy that lives in South City and is trying to do the best by his community. And people just come around making trouble, and he's got to go punch him in the face.
He's struck a hat.
We have a hat. This reference apparently goes so deep with Anila that I've showed chat. Anila, Harry. There we go. Take long at all. That the very first mod for Anila was not what you would expect for the Coomer type community of these games. It was instead a Terry Bogard outfit.
So t-shirt, jeans, struck a hat.
Yes, well, short shorts in her case, but
okay.
So
yeah, as far as fighting game parody
jokes,
that is the simplest of the simple.
Yeah, so it made me quite happy that she had Terry, because I like Terry. There's something to be said for somebody that is just a good old Terry, and isn't because you just don't get those very often. Like, he even has a girlfriend.
Yeah,
like, his girlfriend fights. He picked her up after a fight, but he still has a girlfriend. Like,
well, I mean, he is a fighting game character, of course, so there are some traditions that will carry over anyway.
Well, I mean, the thing is that most fighting game protagonist characters' significant others have met some kind of tragic end at some point.
Or they're stuck at home, and the character will gripe about how they never get to go see their family anymore.
Yeah. Either they're stuck at home, they're dead, or they're up there kicking ass with everyone else.
Yeah, and in this case, she started off as a member of one of the big governmental agencies trying to clean things up in South City, and acting as his rival in the early games. And eventually they just hooked up and have a normal ass relationship now. And all of Terry's endings are just them like going out to the movies and going to their favorite diner and stuff. Like, he doesn't go wander out in the mountains and go train. No,
he's basically he's the wholesome guy.
Yeah,
he just does perfectly normal person things.
Yeah, Terry is the most normal of the fighting game protagonists of all time. And so I was quite happy when I found out Anila had so much reference to Terry Bogard. I do not know what the other generals. The Anila deep dive took enough time to dig through it, but
there's got to be a goose in there. If you got Terry, you're gonna have a goose.
Oh, Geese Howard. Yeah.
Geese.
Yeah. He's probably one of the characters. Is probably a reference to him. Although,
who's the hammiest aside from Anila?
I do not know most of the Divine Generals. I do not play the mobile game. I only play the extra material. Because the mobile game is like yeah. Well, that. But have you looked at that UI?
Oh yeah, it's appalling.
Very 20 years ago.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it is. Even on PC, it is not what I would call usable. So yeah, I actually don't know how much deeper this rabbit hole goes, but it goes pretty deep apparently.
It'll get If you start digging, you're bound to find all sorts of interesting stuff in there.
Yeah, so that was fun.
It's throwing bombs at me.
It could have been a lot worse if they had done Street Fighter instead, and she'd have been based on like one of the Shotos. Like even if it was like the most wholesome character in Street Fighter, your boy Ken, that still wouldn't have made me happy. But Terry, honestly, I can live with Terry.
If there was one Street Fighter character I would have drawn reference from for her, Blanca.
She rides the sheep.
She rides the sheep. She's not the cannonball. She uses the sheep as the cannonball.
Yeah, she doesn't launch herself. She rides on a sheep.
Yeah.
There are in my memories there are random bits of Street Fighter that have just been obliterated by Street Fighter the movie. Like I
saw that.
I can't think of like when it comes to Bison, I can't think of anybody but Raul Julia.
I mean, the ham, the pure ham.
But yeah, just wanted to mention that because it was something I technically did this week, I suppose, and I've never talked about how I like Terry as a character. He doesn't get a whole lot of games that are active right now, so I haven't had a lot of opportunity.
Nobody plays SNK games.
Yeah.
Didn't some Saudi prince decide they wanted to revive SNK?
I mean,
recently?
More power to him, I guess, but I'm not sure if he had an audience.
Well, it sounded, but from what he said, it sounded like his opinion was that all the other fighting franchises are going to shit, and so he's going to fund the revival of the great one. Because apparently, it seems like he's just like a fanatical SNK fan, despite being a Saudi prince, and he's upset at the fighting game industry generally, and so he wants to revive his favorite. So he's just dumping huge amounts of oil money into it.
I can get behind this.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really not wrong about the other fighting games kind of going downhill.
All the mainline fighting games all got big shoes. You're basically looking to contracted games or anime fighters by not the bigger companies. Guilty Gear's in a bad way right now. Blaze functionally on.
Yeah.
And what else? Street Fighter is Street Fighter. Yoko Ono has totally gone off the rails when he fired Ruben Langdon. That was apparently a bigger inflection point than I thought. And even within Capcom, it's a point of friction. Like,
well, people feel like it was unjustified.
Yeah, because Itsuno-san, when Ruben called Itsuno to ask if he still had a job, if the role ever came up again, Itsuno's like, "Nah, you're fine. This is just Ono being functionally retarded," in a nice Japanese way of saying that.
I mean, no Ruben Langdon, no Devil May Cry.
No Dante. Ruben is Dante at this point, down to the motion capture.
We've seen what happens when you try to do Devil May Cry without him.
Yeah, they already tried that. They already tried the no Ruben version.
Yeah.
And it went poorly.
So yeah, basically Yoko Ono's gone off the deep end. Street Fighter's in a bad way because of it. And let's see, Mortal Kombat is all over itself trying to figure out what it even wants to do with its story.
Be woke, apparently.
Yeah, and it keeps coming back to the same answer: be woke, and it's just not working out for them. And everybody seems to not be very happy with Mortal Kombat right now, no matter what side of the camp you fall on. All the major fighting game franchises just got shoes right now. Like, if we stick with SNK, King of Fighters is doing fairly well, but nobody plays King of Fighters. More people play Grand Blue than play King of Fighters.
Yep. Come on, one of the bigger fighting game releases over the last 12 months was freaking Idol Showdown.
Yeah, it's just the your Street Fighter Sixes in the lot will get media buzz. That happens. It but they just when it comes to beyond the the impulse purchasers.
Yeah, it's in the absolute worst spot, this Fate. Or maybe we just set ourselves up in the worst spot.
Well, that's where they spawn. we can't set up anywhere else if that's where they spawn.
Okay, am I synced again? Right, I think I'm synced again.
So
let me just come here, bear thingies. Come over here.
I'll just hit him once to get him open. Okay,
Yeah.
I've got time to whack.
Okay.
But yeah, State of Fighting Games is not good. So if they want to revive SNK proper and bring all the SNK characters, like Terry and stuff, have all migrated to King of Fighters at this point. Find my sure new cowards. So ain't Geese supposed to be dead? Like dead for realsies this time?
Oh, that hasn't stopped him.
Nobody's ever dead for reals in fighting games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was that whole fun bit that came out when they put Terry in Smash Brothers because we'll put characters in the background. We'll put Geese and all these other guys, and we'll put Mai. No.
Oh,
you cannot have Mai in Smash Brothers.
What was it Sakurai said? This is a family-friendly game. We can't have
family-friendly game.
We can't put Mai in here. We can put Bayonetta in here. That's fine. Not Mai though.
My Bayonetta doesn't. The word pendulous comes to mind with Mai.
Okay, so because Bayonetta is a lacking lady, that's why it's okay. Alkaka would not approve.
Lacking, but. Yeah, anyway.
Only cutting boards need apply.
Only cutting. Well, they did tone down a couple of characters for Smash, didn't they?
Yeah, basically.
Bayonetta in particular.
Anybody that had any kind of fat in appealing places had the amount reduced.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anywho,
that's a side tangent. Glad I was just really happy that it wasn't some dumb character from Street Fighter or somebody weird. When I figured out that Anila is not so subtly influenced by terror.
Come to think of it, is there much going on in the fighting game tournament scene anymore? Because I think a lot of them just explode recently?
Evo Japan's ongoing like right now, I think, and the Arc System Works tournament that their tournament that they run is generally popular, both the US like that. The tournament scene, the FGC scene is kind of at a wacky place in its growth. It's hit that problem that a lot of the modern type of these big organized events do. Same kind of deal with like Games Done Quick, where basically they, due to a combination of both chronic wokeness and just in general the over corpotization of it, they're just not as fun to watch anymore. While the numbers are there, the buzz is flash in the pan whenever they happens for like a couple days and then they disappear.
Yep.
Yeah, because you can get the normie casual crowd with that, but you're not going to develop a core. You don't see anybody talk about GD or about Evo, just as big events that all the hardcore fans are going to watch.
Yeah, like I find that a lot of those events, the audience is kind of limited. Like once you get everyone who's potentially interested in that sort of event, that's it. There's no one else to get.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that all of the franchises seem to be on a mission to piss off their core fan bases. So,
Yes.
like, as much as I'm not willing to tolerate Guilty Gear because they bent the knee to the woke. But most people in the FGC don't care about woke at all, and yet they all still hate the new Guilty Gear.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know enough about the game to know what it is that they did, but they made their core fan base very mad.
It doesn't play very good. I got it as a gift, had it on my wish list, and I booted it up and tried it, and it's just not. It feels slow to play. Moving in the air doesn't feel very good. Dust moves don't work very well. And after playing Grand Blue, it right okay.
All right, just pop these guys. I pop slowly on blue.
So yeah. The new Guilty Gears. New Street Fighter. Got a bit of buzz when it first came out, but face.
Yep.
The new Street Fighter got a little bit of buzz when it first came out, but it's just
Yeah,
it's
it dropped off really quick.
a bunch of people aside from the super duper diehards that are the Street Fighter, and when I say that, I don't mean people fighting game fighter franchise loyal. They that game just ain't taken off. Especially when we got other fighting games. Relative to their size, games like Type Lumina are doing okay. They still got an audience. It's XML2.
This guy's niche. Ooh, that's me. I'm 10.
Get away so you don't overcap your medals.
Yeah, I don't have the inventory slots to mess with that at the moment.
So yeah, like Grand Blue's doing pretty good. The first Grand Blue versus had a lot of shoes with balance, but they've gotten their act together. This latest patch has been really well received, and is still alive and thriving. We still got a solid 5,000, 6,000 on PC during downtime. Between we got several more weeks before the next DLC character comes out, and people have got tired of the return, the big boom that from when the last character came out, Vayne, about a month and a half ago. And so yeah, we got a pretty alive community there. But these games are small. Like 6,000 on PC for a fighting game is pretty dang good for something that ain't a mainliner. But that's
for a
that's
little niche one.
But that's still small potatoes. At the end of the day, that's still not a big number.
Yeah. How's your medals doing, Paul?
7.
Okay. But yeah. I mean, yeah, one little bit of news nugget that did actually flash across my screen is Idle Showdown's got enough interest in it that they're still making content.
Yeah.
They've announced that they're putting Ina in, and they've got 3 boss characters coming in. One's a kaiju, one's a dirty, rotten time cheater, and the third one brought a mecha to a idol fight. So there you go. There's something to be said about the only Hollow Stars member showing up in a freaking mecha, but never mind.
Yes, you do.
But yeah, like there's still interest for fighting games out there. It's just that the mainline games, and I think it's partly a symptom of just the big name games across the board of really just losing their way.
Well, yeah, and the FGC has tied itself to the big franchise. Like Tekken's doing pretty good. Tekken's a 3D fighter, and the 3D fighter community is kind of different. They're not the same beast.
And they hate each other. There's that as well.
Well, they don't hate each other as much as some rival communities, but they definitely have some growling at each other.
Hang on.
Try.
Did I take my pet out or put my pet away? Ah, apparently not. Never mind. I thought I changed my pet, but nope, he's still there.
So yeah, but yeah, I've got what I wanted from Versus Rising, and I'll keep playing it on and off until directed by something else bored with it. It just feels really good to play. I still am enjoying just throwing sheep at people.
As you do.
But it's we just don't have anything right now that I'm super excited about. Dawn Trail's coming up, and it's been long enough in Final Fantasy for me coming back this week and figuring or these past 2 weeks, yes, because figuring out how to play again was a little rocky, but I got over it pretty quick to get back in the groove. I've only been gone for 6 months. We got a month and a half, 2 months for Dawn Trail. So yeah, I can play this on and off, and I still got Genshin, but I'm not I don't have any new zone type. Well, I do have one new zone. But
you do now, yes.
Yeah, and the what you call it zone next region sometime really the next few months. So that's another thing that's a few months away.
All right.
So yeah, we're just kind of in the downtime where I don't have a lot of media to recommend on. The little bits I did, like Faust showing up in the Blue Archive anime happening crossover with Falls Week.
All right. Shall we dive into a little bit of news then?
You got any? I dug all over the place. The only thing I saw was the Helldivers debacle.
Let's do Helldivers then, shall we? So, I like Helldivers. I really do like Helldivers too. It is a lot of fun.
I was, until this news, considering picking it up.
Yeah. They've had some hiccups before with their community manager being kind of a twit, but never mind that. Yeah, this week they announced that PlayStation accounts will now become mandatory for everyone. So as it is now,
even those people who can't make one because it's not available.
Because it's not available in their country. As it is, like you try and make a Helldivers account. You make your account, and it'll ask you if you want to link up your PlayStation account right now. You can just press escape and drop out of that, so you're not linked. And I think that's how I've done it. I can't remember because I was doing something weird at the time.
I know somebody who did do it because they didn't realize that they could not do it, apparently. And apparently he had to go through like 20 captures in order to do it. It was a huge pain in the backside.
That's how it usually goes with PlayStation accounts, yes. So, yeah, people are understandably not impressed because, first and foremost, for those people in the in Africa, the Philippines, parts of Europe, you can't make a PlayStation account.
As an aside for making a PlayStation account, I saw a screenshot today on social media showing that you can just ask ChatGPT to solve captures for you.
That kind of eliminates the point entirely of the capture, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
We just build a better robot. But yeah, aside from those people, there's also the security issues and the general scumminess of Sony in general.
Sony's finally starting to get a negative light with the normies. Like it's had a negative light with us. What Sony California has been doing.
Basically virus bombing Sony Japan out of existence.
Yes. And having all their entire customer base's private information being leaked multiple times.
I think multiple, even as a descriptor, is sort of underselling how often they get hacked.
Yes, it's like almost a weekly thing at this point. Not quite that bad, but it's regular. So understandably, people do not want to do this because you've already got your Steam account. There's also the entire thing about the Celebrate censorship, which has already got people up in arms about Sony as it is.
Yeah, I find is
not just Stellar Blade, but they also had the art book for the PlayStation edition of Mihoyo censored. The art book.
Oh, the art book. Good grief.
Game. The
art book.
the swag art book that you get for the big money collector edition.
A lot of these art books will even just have blanks with a character's head on it.
Well, no, this is they're
And
pretty
they
detailed.
call that nudity.
Yeah. The art books for Type Moon stuff usually are pretty detailed. One of these, and they just has nothing to do with the game itself being on their platform. It's just included in the box. That gets censored.
Yeah. So people are not impressed with Sony, and it doesn't help when you have the Twitch community manager coming out and making stupid comments again, saying that this will allow us to ban people better. How they haven't fired her, I don't know, but anyway.
When you have somebody like that at a company, my first instinct is it's somebody's girl.
Nepotism hire.
It's the GM's girlfriend.
Yeah. This also goes alongside one of their other community managers who's actually trying to kind of put the fire out and saying, all right, we didn't realize just how big a problem this was going to be for people. We're trying to talk to Sony and figure out something else.
Well, they claim what I saw them claim was that they had nothing to do with it. They were not involved in any way. They were just told this is what you're going to do now by Sony, and they had to deploy it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not, because they're definitely going to want to divest themselves of blame, regardless of what their role was in it and how cooperative they were. They're going to sell it as though they weren't.
Yes. Whether that's true or not, who knows, frankly. So when you've got so much mixed information coming out of the studio, it's hard to pick what's going on. So as a result, people are not happy, and they have taken to the route that they really only have, and that is review bombing the game.
The only metric we have to show us we are displeased with your current state.
It has gone from overwhelmingly positive to overwhelmingly negative in the space of about 48 hours. This has never happened before.
It was the most meteoric response I've seen of it, but yeah. I have not followed some of the other debacles in real time.
It's a game that trains its entire community to act in perfect concert. What were you expecting?
Yeah, the whole game is about working together to defeat a more powerful enemy. Why do you think people would stop working together when they're not suddenly in the game?
Like they set like gigantic outside game meta goals to like forestall invasions and that sort of thing on a community level. Of course, you're going to get community action out of that. I don't know why you would expect otherwise.
So yeah, it's an ongoing situation, and it is an absolute dumpster fire. So I think we'll find out what's going to happen on this one next week. But I'm not sure we'll ever actually find out the actual truth as to what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, what's going on behind the scenes is just that, Sony operates entirely on the basis of woke now, and the core component of woke is the naked exercise of power. Until they hit the wall, where constantly grasping for power ceases to pay off for them, ceases to give them more power, they're going to continue doing this. They have no concern about their business side whatsoever. This is not going to make them any money. They aren't interested in that. They're just interested in power.
Yeah. All right. What other bits of news do we
have?
That's literally it. This week is not.
That's really about it.
This week has been really slow.
We're coming into we're already well and truly into the pre-announcement.
Progress. You might want to.
Oh, whoops!
I'm in combat.
Yeah. So we've got the desiccated remains of E3 now being hermit crabbed by Jeff Keighley. So instead of E3, we've got the Summer Games Fest, I think. Is that what they're calling it now? And that comes up in a few weeks. So yeah, you're not going to get any big announcements. Though you do have Todd Howard basically saying, "Come watch our show already," because we're going to be announcing some stuff. What else? We announced. I mean, yeah, there's BlizzCon being cancelled, but that surprises no one.
We covered that one last week.
Went over that one last week. Yep. So that's really about it.
Not been much of a week, really.
Yeah.
The only one I posted was the massive loss reported by Squeenix.
They are not doing good.
What all was on that financial report? I assume.
I didn't read the report. I didn't read the report in detail, but I mean, ultimately, this is only what you would expect, right? Forspoken happened. NFTs happened.
They've got a couple of big releases like Final Fantasy 16 and 7 Part 2, but they're also PS5 exclusive, so
yeah,
you're missing like a good 3/4 of your market.
PS5 exclusivity has really done nothing but burn people that go for it, it seems like. Like, the chunk of change you get from Sony would need to be truly astronomical at this.
Well, in a vacuum it would, but Sony's leadership has been so thoroughly incompetent for the last few years that it doesn't work out that way. Like, when has anybody ever launched a next-gen console without having secured any stock?
A game.
No, the game is not the problem.
Yeah,
the problem is that nobody has the device. Nobody has the device. Nobody, and what's more, not only did they not secure the stock to sell, they didn't secure any raw materials to make any either.
Mm-hmm.
The shortage is not because there weren't enough made in time. That happens every time. The shortage was because there weren't enough made in time, and they didn't have any way of making them. It was just like incompetence from top to bottom.
Yeah,
this is just what happens when you put blue hairs in charge of your business instead of people who know how to run a business.
While you can go get one now, that's all fine and good. The hype train's now gone.
Yeah, the hype train has left the station. This is over. It is over for the PS5.
There is still no reason to buy a PS5 because any game you can either get elsewhere or you can just wait and get it elsewhere.
So I kind of feel bad for Microsoft because it seemed that Microsoft had figured, well, we are doomed. We're not going to win the console war, so we need to change tech radically. But if they had just engaged in conventional console warfare, they would have won this generation.
Oh yeah,
because their competitor didn't bring anything to the table.
Yeah.
So they released an imaginary piece of hardware.
But yeah, Microsoft's kind of wised up to the whole thing. So anything that is quote unquote at this point Xbox exclusive is also a PC release now, and more often than
Final
not,
Fantasy wasn't. And so, like, they've got this opposite number across the aisle that is just doing everything wrong and is acting like it's working. It's only when they do their financials each quarter does it become clear that they aren't on top, because for some reason people keep walking over to them and saying, hey, we desperately need you to give us a exclusivity. So what? No, there's no need for this. They aren't offering anything. There's no install base to be exclusive to.
Yeah, that's
like
right.
If they had released, pardon?
How's your medals, by the way?
One.
Oh, you changed. Okay.
I changed pet.
I'm not sure which pets I've got to go.
If they had decided to put the new Final Fantasy on PC at the same time, Squeenix wouldn't have turned this loss. But no, they preferred the exclusivity. Exclusivity to a console which nobody has, because the install base is diminutive compared to what it could be. Like, nobody has managed to even approach where we were with the PS2.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And the PS2 started at an insane price point as well. I don't know what it was like elsewhere, but in New Zealand it was literally $1,000, $2,000 to buy a PS2. And yet, by the time it hit the end of its life cycle, literally everybody had one.
More than one.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I had 3 by the end.
I think I've still got 3, maybe. Not sure.
I got rid of a couple of them, but I've still got one somewhere. I don't know if it worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think what Fern says has no merit, but I think I would come at it from a different. The no games problem. It just seems to be a function of living in current day when it comes to consoles, where you're gonna have a hard time hitting the same level of sales being console exclusive to begin with, and all the companies that have figured that out, namely not Square Enix, are just going to not do the exclusivity thing because you're cutting your install base, especially this generation when the install base is low. So yeah, this has the knock-on effect of there just ain't any games on these systems to go buy the system for. So I think they are two related problems rather than being separate potential reasons, as it were.
Yeah.
Because the only person I know that's bought a PS5 is the Opossum.
I know a couple of people.
Did he put it on the company Amex?
No, I told him I'd kill him if he did.
Yeah, that's understandable. But yeah, like I know I've got. Let me see. 2 of my brothers have one. One uses it primarily for as a DVD player, and the other one I think just uses it more as a paperweight.
Well, what else is it really good for? Like, there's only like the only games that are remotely interesting to play on it are the new Final Fantasy and Stellar Blade, and that's about it.
And we
unless you're a God of War person.
When it launched in that window for like a whole year, what did you have? What?
Nothing.
Like the Demon Souls remake?
Yeah, they had the Demon.
That really was it though. Like, people were talking about that at the time. It's like that's the only thing to play.
Dad of Boy 1? No, that was on PS4 as well. Never mind.
Yeah, I have that on the PS4 shelf over there.
Yeah, that was the big thing with the PS5 launch, is because the install base was so low at launch, everything is coming out on the PS4 as well.
Yeah. So and that and the jump between the PS4 generation and PS5 generation. Technologically, unless you really care about your lighting effects, there ain't much to write home about.
Yeah. Well, the that was not what they were trying to sell it on, really, though. What they were trying to sell it on was loading times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was the big problem with the PS4.
Yeah.
As anybody who tried to play Monhan knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 minute load times every time you needed to load up the bigger maps.
I remember going and playing Monster Hunter World on the PC later on, and
oh man, it felt like I was flying through that game.
It was bliss.
Because I went back and started it not long after you did, independent of it. We just started playing around at the same time, independent.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we synced up for that one show where we happened to be in the same ballpark of each other.
But so yeah. But we're also, I think we're coming to what they're going to just arbitrarily call the end of the generation soon.
Yeah, skip that frog down there. That's an escort quest. I don't want to do that.
Ugh. Yeah, don't do that. Don't fight frog. Just skip the frog. We'll go fight the other frog. So yeah, like we're expecting in the very near future the next Nintendo console to be launched or announced. Not necessarily launched, but
well, Nintendo's kind of out of sync with the other ones, but
they are. They kind of do their own thing
because they're not in the same competitive circle here. Just playing for a different crowd.
Yeah,
but
they found their own little niche and they've carved that out and they're quite happily sitting in it.
Yeah, own niche of vacuuming sand.
Yes, I admit I did also vacuum the entire room.
I would probably if I played the game.
There was treasure in that sand. Not enough to actually justify vacuuming the entire room, but there was the potential for more treasure.
Yeah, but how will you know if you don't check?
Exactly. You got to vacuum the whole room to check.
I mean, you could be a zoomer and just go look it up or watch somebody do it, but
you could just.
That's what I did. I watched somebody do it.
Yeah. Just vacuum the obvious bits where it looks like there is treasure. But anyway, I did like Luigi's Mansion 3. That game was good.
But yeah, it's the console. I've noticed a significant shift in general away from consoles as a whole. Amongst the people I know that played video games, most of them were primarily console players. And now, I know 2 that are still console players, and like
I have no
7,
plans to buy another console ever.
yeah, and like 7 have switched to perma PC players.
Yeah.
Joined the PC Master Race completely,
Well,
including
you
my
look
sister.
Like,
you look
I
at
mean, I
the
have.
latest Xbox though, and it is basically a PC.
It's not basically a PC. It literally is a PC.
It
Like,
is a PC.
there are no differences that you can define between it and a PC.
Yeah, it's just built slightly differently. That's it.
It's a different shaped case. You could put a PC in that case.
Micro ATX is a thing, yeah.
I mean, for all I know, it even uses a micro ITX board or something like that.
It probably does, yeah.
They might have just shaved the corners off. But yeah, like I've got my PS4 still. I've got my Switch sitting on my desk. I don't have any intention of ever buying another console. I just don't know what the argument for it is.
Yeah. At this point, I have a job. I absolutely have to upgrade my PC, once every 4 years. Not nearly as big of a deal. Used to be.
Yeah.
As long as I'm not running and buying the latest and greatest graphics card every time one comes out, it's hardly cost prohibitive.
Well, I mean, I understood the logic, like, of getting when my first console was a 64, and I understood the logic perfectly of a console because I would just go to the store, I'd buy the cartridge, and I'd plug the cartridge in and I'd play the game. And at that time, in order to do the equivalent on a PC, I'd have to spend all sorts of time dicking around with the settings on Windows 95. It was onerous, and there was no guarantee that the game would work without crashing. Nowadays, we are still in that place on the PC where there's no guarantee of the game will work without crashing, except we're also there on the console now as well.
Yeah. And largely for the PC, it's like click download on Steam, then click play, and then you trying to take chances from there.
You may have to muck around a little bit in the in-game setting, but usually most Steam games are about as easy to get open and you would.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mainly just have to try and get it to recognize your microphone.
Microphones just do not play nice.
You may have to fight with whatever Steam's current implementation of the stupid Steam input thing. But Alright,
I'll take care of the big one. Give him a hug. So yeah, I'll probably will pick up Nintendo's next thing at some point.
Yeah, Nintendo's I can more easily see myself potentially buying because they do have a repertoire of games that are exclusive to them, and their device will likely have some uniqueness that makes it worth picking up as a separate device for either portability or whatever their gimmick is this time.
Well, I'm willing to listen to their argument, but I don't have any plans to buy in. Like, it used to be way back when that it was a given that I would buy at least one console from each generation. But nowadays it's like, well, I'm listening. What have you got for me? And if what you've got for me is a PC experience, except with more DRM and more limitations, then why would I bother?
Just going to pass.
Like, for me, the Switch is literally the Monster Hunter engine. Like,
yes.
It's for playing Monster Hunter and Monster Hunter stories. Like, that's all I do with it. I don't do anything else on it.
Right now, for me, it's a Digimon system, but anyway.
Oh,
and there's
man.
not really any other argument that they've offered that would make me want to buy that device. So, I am vulnerable to a certain extent, but the next Monster Hunter is going to be a multi-platform, probably, won't it?
From what we can have said, we get the impression it's going to be multiple platform on launch. Yeah.
Yeah. So that basically wipes out consoles from consideration for me.
Yeah. You also have companies being way less gun shy about just making PC now. They realize the install base is there. It took them a few decades, but
the advantage is also the advantage of not doing it is also missing now. Because the advantage was always, oh well, with the console we can do one set of optimization for one set of hardware and we'll be done. But now there are like multiple iterations and versions of the hardware for consoles floating around as well, and that hardware in and of itself is just a PC configuration.
Mm-hmm. So you might as well do PC while you're at it.
Yeah, it's like you're already halfway to a PC port. So, and these days now that there's that people are just basically outsource their beta to the community, it's a lot less argument in favor of sticking to the console market due to its security or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
There's a like market research factors involved, like, oh well, due to the nature of the console we can calculate the install base and therefore sales by region and demographics and so on, but none of that really matters anymore because there doesn't have a PC demographic anymore.
Yeah, before I forget, I want to mention this. I was leaving the office one day, either this week or last week after work, and the opossum. I'm telling him what's been going on and making sure he's not keeping emails from me. And he mentions offhandedly that he'd been playing Red Dead again, and he plays Red Dead 2. He has as many hours in Red Dead as we.
And Amex charges.
And Amex charges.
And yeah, and he asked me if he could hook a PC up to his projector screen in his man cave so that he could install Red Dead mods. Like,
oh wow,
you've lost the opossum. He is now willing to go through the rigmarole.
He's sort of the last holdout class of person, people who are just who are at least dimly aware that they're too dumb to handle a PC and therefore are not going to try. Yeah. Like that demographic has ceased to exist. I'm afraid they're in trouble.
Yeah, if that demographic is coming to me and asking if PC is an option, you done goofed.
Yeah, done goofed. That was the last big appeal of the consoles, was like you just plug them in and away you go. That hasn't been the case for a long time either. Between various system updates and multiple versions, it's just
Yeah, I get freshly reminded of that because I always forget. And I'll I feel like watching a Blu-ray, I'll switch on my PS4 and then I have to wait 20 minutes while it downloads updates.
Yep.
And
just forget it.
There's another dinger. This is more a pro from Steam than it knock against the consoles, although it can be considered. A not insignificant number of people have told me the cost of the games themselves.
Yes.
Because console games rarely go on deep discount, and you can't go to the used game store anymore. Game stores are all functionally dead.
This is a problem that's actually magnified outside the US.
Actually, I went to the mall to get a haircut. I actually sent a message to Fern about this because I was so incredulous.
Yeah, you got a walking stereotype.
Yes, I got a walking stereotype to cut my hair. It was a flamboyant middle-aged man named Fernando with heaps of rings and stuff.
I mean, the last time I got a stereotype for my haircut was a giant Maori man who just came in from the footy field. So, yeah.
I got a Vietnamese man named Kevin. I don't know what barbers y'all are going to.
You got a normal guy for a barber.
I went to a random place I'd never been to while I was out in a shopping mall. But while I was at the shopping mall, on the way to the nearest hairdresser place, I walked past an EB.
Oh.
And I looked into the EB to see what was in the EB because I was morbidly curious. I did not see any games in the EB.
I saw Funko Pops.
I saw heaps of plastic tat, and that was all.
Yep. The local EB near me, near in relative terms, it's like they've got a small section for Switch games and a bargain bin for PS4 with 5 games that no one really rummages through, and the rest of it is just tat. Not even good merch. It's just tat.
Yeah. Hey, the Zoomers love them Funko Pops, and I don't know why.
Do they
Because-
though?
No.
If they did, why is there a landfill full of them that they can't get rid of?
I have
Because
no
they're
idea, but
investments.
all the
They're
Zoomers that
collectible
I've
investments.
all the Zoomers that I've met, they're like Beanie Babies.
They're exactly like Beanie Babies.
They're like
I
Beanie Babies
I am
for Zoomers.
totally. I have no idea what Beanie Babies are. I hear people refer to them all the time, but I don't know what they are.
Okay.
They were a collectible fad back in the 90s.
Yeah, they were little stuffed animals filled with beanbag beans instead of being proper plushies.
Yeah. And
I've got some Pokemon toys like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a specific brand, and they would have all their names, and they had little tags that had the story and the history of the baby in it. And yeah, they were a fad in the 90s. Funko Pops are the equivalent for Zoom.
Yeah, it's the same.
But the thing is, I don't remember any hysteria about Funko Pops.
Yeah, it hasn't got the same like middle-aged.
I feel like
this is hysteria.
This is the difference between a meme and a forced meme. Is my take on it. They're trying to force Funko Pops to be a meme, but they're not. Like Funko Pops culturally are associated with like being a cuck. Like they are actually associated with being a soy boy cuckold. Like that's where they occupy in the discourse.
Congratulations, you got a Funko Pop. Now your quaint little fan base is going to be filled with tourists. Enjoy.
They don't have that much pull. It's just weird that every Zoomer's room I've gone into, they have Funko Pops there.
It's because people give them to other people. It's not that people buy them for themselves.
Yeah, that's
like I'm sure I've spoken to several people who have said I've never bought a Funko Pop. The only reason I have one is that somebody gave me one.
Yeah.
But like they're not a phenomenon in the way that other fads are. Like the current phenomenon seems to be like coffee cups or something, isn't it?
Oh, the
insulated coffee cups.
Okay.
Yeah, those seem to be popular with middle-aged women.
Why is it
I don't know who they're popular with. I presume they're popular with people on TikTok.
Second verse, same as the first.
Yeah.
I thought that TikTok was a Zoomer thing.
It is, but a huge amount of housewives use it as well, and so do types like the opossum that have nothing to do all day, because some of us have to actually do work, and they get to sit in the man cave and just please don't touch your email, opossum.
Just sit there and don't touch anything. What's this quest bunch sitting down in here? Actually, no, I'm not going to go poke that.
Any medals yet?
Evan.
Yeah, I'm done with Heavenswood, so.
So yeah. I think that's about all we got though. Well, you've probably got to run pretty soon.
Yeah, I've got like another 20 or 30 minutes tops. And then I've got to try and figure out how to catch the bus.
Well, I do not have anything else.
Nah, I think I'm done.
You got anything, Vaul?
No. I'm sure I could come up with something, but it would probably involve a very deep rabbit hole. It usually does.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not do that then.
So let's go ahead and wrap it, I think, and make sure you got plenty of social outing. This is a
social obligation.
So infrequent that this is a major event. But to be sure,
I shaved this morning.
You do it again.
It's pretty normal for me to shave twice in a day. I've got OCD about it. My skin doesn't like it, but unfortunately, the thing with mental compulsions is that they're self-destructive.
Generally, yeah.
All right.
All right. Let's get out of here.
We'll be back next week, hopefully with a full roster again, and not on as strict of a we gotta time it out and start early. So.
Maybe something will happen in the week to come.
Yeah, that would be
something that is not
nice
a dumpster fire would be nice.
I'd take a dumpster fire as long as we got something to talk about, because holy crap, this week was dead.
Yeah.
All right, folks. We will see y'all next.